This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Beautiful win, ladies and gentlemen. Beautiful win. The Knicks beat the Miami Heat 111-103. And let me tell you something. The Miami Heat really, really needed this basketball game. Remember, they're playing to try to lock down that first place seed in the Eastern Conference. And they lost to the Knicks. And the Knicks did it behind the backs of the young guys, ladies and gentlemen. 3 rookies in that fourth quarter played big basketball. Immanuel Quickley, a second-year player, had 20 points in the fourth quarter. I love to see it, ladies and gentlemen. Love to see it because you love to see the growth of the young guys. And although the Knicks, for all intents and purposes, are out of it, they continue to fight, continue to play good basketball, hard basketball. It's not always good, but hard basketball. They're not giving up. You love it, man. You love it. You love it. You love it. Let's go ahead and get into this, man. I got Tony Crow here with me. And, you know, we're going to go ahead and get this thing going, man, and break it down. Tony Crow, what's popping with you, my brother? How you feeling, man, after tonight's win?
What's good, Sim? I'm feeling good. You know, I was tired. I wasn't going to come on tonight. And then I watched this game and see how the young guys play. And I say, you know what? Let me face the music. Let me come in and own it, you know, because I know the chat gonna go crazy. They're gonna be screaming, you know, Tib should have been doing this and da. So I'm here for you guys tonight.
Listen, you know what? Listen, I've seen it all over Twitter and all of that already. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not even gonna get into that whole argument. You know what I mean? Because it is what it is. You know, you play basketball. Sometimes you get a group out there that's hot. Sometimes you don't. You know what I mean? So I'm not even going to get into that entire argument. It's just I'm just trying to celebrate the win. Because in my opinion, Tony, for all of those who are saying that, and I seen it like as soon as these guys started hooping, I seen it. But my opinion is this. If the young kids ain't developing, then they can't do this.
Yep.
It signifies growth, and I'm just happy with that. I'm just happy with the growth, man. I love to see what they did tonight because, well, let's be honest. If you go back and you really break down the basketball game, you know, when you look at the first quarter, the Knicks were down 19-16 when the first subs started to come into the game. You know, down 19-16, and the lead started to grow. When those guys started to come into the game, the lead started to grow. The Knicks ended the first quarter after playing a tight first quarter up until 5 minutes left. After playing a tight first quarter, at the end of the first quarter, they were down 7. And then when you get to the top of the second quarter, right, you know, and at this point, you got mainly the bench in the game. When you get to the top of the second quarter, this is when the lead really started to grow. And the next thing you know, the Knicks were down 13 points to the Miami Heat. And it started to look like, I don't know what's going to go on here. Tom Thibodeau, you know, about halfway through that second quarter. And the good thing is he didn't get panicky and just take those young guys out. He kept them out there and let them play. Kept to his normal substitution pattern, right? And then, you know, he came back with RJ and Burks and Obi and Sims and et cetera, et cetera. And they were able
that was with 3 minutes and some change left.
What?
When RJ finally came back in the game.
No, I'm talking second quarter. I'm talking second quarter.
Okay,
I'm talking second quarter, right? And so in that second quarter, he brought those guys back, midway through, and they were able to get the lead down to 9. So it was 58-49, right? You get into that third quarter, and when you get into the third quarter, ladies and gentlemen, the game stays, between 11 and 9 points. 11 and 9 points. 11 and 9 points. About halfway through the third quarter, subs come in. As a matter of fact, it was 69-60 when the subs started to come in. I think Mitchell Robinson came in for Jericho Sims. Mitchell Robinson might have came in a little bit before that, to be honest with you. Mitchell Robinson came in that third quarter. He came in with 9 minutes left. All right, about 69-60. Other subs started to come in. The next thing you know, it was a big lead. All right, it was a big lead. And, the Knicks got down like 14 points. By the end of the third quarter, it was a 15-point lead. And then the fourth quarter comes. But you know what? These young guys that were in, they continued to scrap and battle. And Tom Thibodeau left them out there. I mean, the lead got to 90-73. But they continued to fight, scrap, and battle. And they just stuck with it. And all of a sudden, they start hitting shots. They start getting steals. Start hitting shots. Got more steals. And then Deuce hits a big shot in the corner. And the floodgates opened up, ladies and gentlemen. Quentin Grimes started hitting big shots. Immanuel Quickley continued to score the basketball. And there you have it. So, the moral of the story is any lineup can get hot at any time because it was mixed up tonight. It's not like every time the kids were in the game, they were playing well. Any lineup can get hot at any time, and it's up to the coach to figure out that lineup was hot and keep them in, and he did a good job doing that tonight. The Miami Heat called a timeout, and I was afraid that Tom Thibodeau was going to bring, take those young guys out, but he didn't. He let them play. And then he figured out a sweet spot where he felt like, okay, maybe their juice ran out a little bit. He brought RJ and Obi back into the basketball game, and then they finished it out. So really good basketball game from the New York Knicks, man. Really good game.
Can I highlight a comment?
Yeah. No doubt.
Just take a look at this fine gentleman right here with some knowledge.
Tibbs' patience helped develop the young guys by easing them into the lineup. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? And instead of I'm taking a different course than you, Tony. I'm sorry. Instead of getting on Tibbs and saying, you should have did this earlier, how about celebrating the kids for what they did tonight? Just celebrate the kids for what they did tonight. You know what I'm saying? Because they played well down the stretch. And part of the reason that they played well is because they're being coached. They're learning. They're developing. They're growing. That's part of the reason. You know what I mean? I actually seen somebody say on Twitter was pissed off because the Knicks won. The worst thing the Knicks could have did tonight was win. It's like, yo, the kids are learning to play the basketball game. You dig what I'm saying? Good win anyway. Good win. I'm not going to smack people around. I'm just going to say good win. I loved it. Love to see what they did down the stretch, man. Love the way that they played. Even when they were getting trapped down the stretch, RJ showed some good poise, was able to pass over top of those traps, find people who were open for some open dunks, or open layups or whatever it was. Found Taj Gibson. I liked it. Josh, what's going on, man?
Sam, Tony, what's going on? NBK fam, the chat, salute to everyone. Great victory. But Sam, the first thing that I want to say is literally 6 weeks to 2 months ago, everyone wanted Immanuel Quickley fed on a steak.
Yeah.
Everyone was so frustrated with Immanuel Quickley being in the game. He takes dumb shots. He does this. He's not patient enough, this, and that. Tonight, you watched Immanuel Quickley be a lead guard, right? Have patience, right? Rush the ball up the floor. Man, he couldn't set that defense up. Have patience enough to set up the offense, calling out plays, calling out for screens. That is what you call development, ladies and gentlemen. That right there, like how I challenge anyone out there to say that the kids are not developing under Tom Thibodeau. I really do struggle. Like, you can see all the development and all of these young guys. And for everyone out there that's saying we should have did it from the beginning, those kids were not ready at the beginning. They had to learn. And those limited amount of minutes, I tweeted this earlier, the limited amount of minutes that these kids get, they have to take advantage of that opportunity while they have it. And tonight they did that. This is a type of game where it catches the coach's attention. And you can be able to take someone's spot based on your limited amount of minutes that you play tonight. And that's exactly what we witnessed tonight. And it's just a great victory. And the kids in development, the future is bright.
Yeah. I hear that Tibbs, we haven't heard the press conference yet, but we hear Tibbs said something that sounds like he's taking a shot at people on social media and all that kind of stuff. We'll get a chance to hear Tibbs. We'll get a chance to hear it shortly. As soon as, I have it available to me, we'll get a chance to hear him. But I'm interested to hear what he said. Let's go ahead and break down the box score a little bit and, talk some more about this basketball game because I want to talk about some guys individually. You know what I mean? So let's go ahead and get into it, ladies and gentlemen. The Knicks were led by Immanuel Quickley. He had 23 points tonight, 20 points in the fourth quarter. Right? And, that's big. That's big for IQ. 20 points in the fourth quarter. I did hear him talk to Clyde after the game and Breen, and they were asking him about, how he's growing and developing and figuring out how to, play that point guard role as well as be a scorer. And what he said is, it's working every day, watching a lot of videotape on point guards and scorers in the league and trying to figure out how to mesh it in between. You know what I mean? That's something that I really like about Immanuel Quickley. And I was one of the people who said, sit him down for a little bit. I didn't say take him out the lineup completely, but I was like, hey, sit him down for a little bit. Reel him in. Let him get a hold of himself and then put him back out there. But Tom Thibodeau stuck to his guns, kept him out there, figured out, let him figure it out. Sometimes that's what you got to do too. Sometimes you got to let him figure out how to play through bad stretches. So Immanuel Quickley, 23 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. He was 6 for 12 from the field for 50%. He was 3 for 8 from the three-point line, but 37.5%. He was 8 for 8 from the free throw line. That's one of the really, really good things about having Immanuel Quickley out there on the floor. He can knock down free throws, especially
one of the best in the NBA.
Yeah, and if you got him out there in a clutch situation, he's a 90% free throw shooter at least. You know what I'm saying? He's going to knock him down. You get it every once in a while, he'll miss a couple, but for the most part, Immanuel Quickley's knocking down those free throws. RJ Barrett got a little bit of a taste of what it's like to be the number one guy tonight. 18 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. Shot well from the free throw line, 6 for 8. But he was 5 for 17 from the field, and he was 2 for 10 from the three-point line. Right? Shot 29% from the field and 20% from the three-point line. Got a little bit of a taste of what it's like to be that guy. He also had 5 turnovers. It's a learning experience. And you know what? Tom Thibodeau in the fourth quarter with 3 minutes left, when he felt the juice run out, he still came back with RJ, and RJ was able to bring it through in the clutch. It didn't have to do with scoring. It had to do with him handling the pressure. It's called learning, ladies and gentlemen.
Called development.
It's called development.
That's what it's called, development.
Exactly. Obi Toppin tonight, 15 points, 8 rebounds. Nice game, 6 for 10 from the field, 2 for 4 from the three-point line. Alec Burks had 12 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He only shot 37% from the field. He shot 50% from the three-point line. Evan Fournier, I thought he was going to have a better game tonight. He didn't. He had 7 points. He was 2 for 11 from the field, 2 for 10 from the three-point line. Mitchell Robinson, 11 points and 7 rebounds. So, listen, contributions all over the board. Miles McBride, big contributions down the stretch. And I'm not talking about scoring the ball, but with the way he played some defense, he got 2 big steals down the stretch. 1 big, gigantic rebound down the stretch that I really, really like.
Oh, yeah.
He skied. I love that rebound. All right, and he also had 5 assists down the stretch. Excuse me. All right, nice game from Miles McBride. All right, way to stay in there, play tough defense, put some pressure on Kyle Lowry. Quentin Grimes hit some big shots. He had 9 points. Overall, just a nice, complete basketball game from the New York Knicks. I mean, it's not complete with the way that they played throughout the game, but the way that they brought it home in the fourth quarter, kind of made it complete. The Knicks in the fourth quarter, ladies and gentlemen, they outscored the Miami Heat 38-15 in the fourth quarter. The Knicks shot 61.1% and 50% from the three-point line in the fourth quarter. The Miami Heat shot 27.8% and 22% from the three-point line in the fourth quarter. Miami had 5 turnovers in the fourth. The Knicks, on the other hand, they only had 1 turnover, and they had 7 assists in the fourth quarter to go along with 3 steals. Really good basketball game. Really good basketball game. Proud of these young guys, man. Proud of these young guys. Let me read the box score of the Miami Heat, and then we'll go on and, talk about some other things I want to talk about with this basketball game. Just some things I've seen throughout the game. The Miami Heat were led in scoring by, and excuse me for a second while I get my stats back up. There we go. They were led in scoring by Jimmy Butler. He had 30 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. I think, Jimmy Butler wanted to prove to everybody that after what happened the other night with him fighting in the huddle, this, that, and the third, he was still a Miami Heat player, 30 points tonight. Bam Adebayo, 17 points, 9 rebounds. Only 1 assist from Bam tonight. He came into this game averaging 7.5 assists against the New York Knicks. Only 1 tonight for Bam Adebayo. Kyle Lowry, 17 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Markieff Morris had 10 points. Max Strus had 11 points. Guess what? P.J. Tucker came into this game averaging 14 points per game versus the New York Knicks. Only had 4 tonight. Only 4 tonight. The Knicks did a better job guarding P.J. Tucker. He did have 5 rebounds. Big win from the New York Knicks, man. Let me get to this phone call, and then I'll get back to, some things I want to bring up. Caller, you're live, man. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
It's Mike from North Carolina. Evening, gentlemen. I know how everybody feels, but I will say this.
All right.
This is how you close out a game. This is how you close out a game.
That's how you close one out. There's no doubts about that. That's how you close it out, man. That's how you execute down the stretch. They did a good job executing down the stretch.
Now, imagine if we could have done that in earlier games, regardless of the margin of victory or loss. Well, in the margin of losses per se, but you get what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they did it with the young guys, Sim, that makes it even sweeter.
It does. It does.
That makes it so sweet. Better than those tasty cakes I used to eat as a kid growing up in the city.
Yeah.
Man.
You know, the hope is that they can continue this down the stretch of the season. There's 8 games left. They can continue to close out, learn how to close out and execute down the stretch. Tom Thibodeau continues to learn about his players and who can do what, right? And they can bring it over into next year. You know what I'm saying?
Agreed. So agreed. Because this season, I admit, I was disappointed coming off of last season. We should have progressed at least with the hopes of being at the 8th seed position. Now, I don't know, but defensively, yeah, I'm satisfied with this win. Hopefully, it'll come together as you mentioned. And there's nothing wrong with Tibbs as a coach. It's just his rotations that are suspect. As a matter of fact, let me ask everybody, for the margins of victories, when we will be up 20, assume we would have won those games, would you regard this Knicks team as being very dangerous?
When I regard this, okay, say that again. Ask me that question one more time, and then I'm going to listen to Tom Thibodeau's press conference. But ask me that again one more time. I'm not sure I fully understand what you're saying.
For the margins of victories that we have, or leads that we've had in past games and lost, those 20-point leads that we've lost, if we could have maintained them, would you regard this Knicks team as dangerous, if not a very dangerous team? Because myself, I wouldn't want to play them in the first round, let alone a play-in game, series, playoff.
I'm going to say this. If the Knicks would have been able to win some of those games, right? You know, some of the early games that they lost, if they would have been able to win those, pull out those 20-point victories, you know, not 20-point victories, but times that they had 20-point leads, pull out those wins, they would have been still in the play-in, in my opinion. And, you know, I don't know if I would have called them dangerous. I do think that they would have been a team that maybe other teams looked at and said, they're not playing up to their potential. I don't want to play, we got to be careful when we play them because they could start playing up to their potential. I don't know that I would call them dangerous because I still feel like there's just pieces that we need. I still feel like even if we would have won those games, I still would have felt like this season that it was really, really exposed that we need a floor leader. Regardless if we won those games or not, I still think it was really exposed that we need a floor leader out there. You know what I mean? And I think that's what makes us more dangerous if we get a floor leader.
Okay.
Yeah.
In regards to that floor leader, I'm sure you and the rest of the panel probably won't agree, but, and I'm thinking in terms of experience, I would let Rose start.
Derrick Rose?
Yeah.
You saying
that's
next,
just me.
You saying next season?
No, I mean this season. In regards to what you just mentioned, but I get it. He is a bit older. You know, the injury thing. I get it, but he has that experience. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. Man.
Yeah, he does. He has that experience. I'm the thing about Rose, I love Derrick Rose. He's actually my favorite player on the team. I'm just not sure he can be reliable right now, and I think that's one of the big reasons he's going to be best coming off the bench. I think you got to have someone who is just reliable as the starter. For the remainder of the season, if he comes back, I don't think he'll start him. You could do whatever, for the remainder of the season. But going into next season, I'm sure Derrick Rose will be on the team. You got to have someone who's reliable, who's going to be there every single night or most of the nights. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just not sure Derrick Rose's body is going to let him do that throughout the season. Yeah.
I hear. Understood.
Yeah.
Hey, Uncle Julio, you live in Charlotte, man?
I do.
I'm here on the east side, up in Oxford, Gravel County. Let's see if I'm still here in the Carolinas. Let's hook up for something next year in Charlotte.
Yeah, do that.
Yes, sir. Let's do it. I'm on Twitter and Instagram, Uncle Julio. We'll make it happen.
No doubt. Hey, Mike, I appreciate you, man. Appreciate your time.
I was gonna say I'll look for you, Unc. As always, Sim, your polish, and to Tony Cole, you sound just like my cousin in the Bronx, man. No joke.
Hey, I'm from the Bronx.
Yeah.
You're black as time.
Cool.
No doubt. Appreciate you, Mike. Let's get to this Tom Thibodeau press conference because I want to hear what Tom Thibodeau had to say.
Me too.
All right. And we're not going to see it on the screen. We're just going to listen to it at this point. All right. And, later on, we'll get to see some of the other guys on the screen do their presser. But this is Tom Thibodeau, ladies and gentlemen. Let's listen in.
Do you know what happened to RJ?
No, the trainers are looking at him.
Who was watching happen in the game at that point?
We sat most of the fourth. We got it down to 13, and we wanted to see if we could make a run.
What in the first half, you guys have started off very well, and then what do you think?
Actually, that's not it, ladies and gentlemen. That's actually a different one. So as soon as I get it, I thought I had the right one. As soon as I get it, I'll get it up there. I do want to ask this while I'm searching this out. I thought I had the right one up there. While I'm searching this out, let me ask you this. Do you guys hold any stock right now in the fact that Mitchell Robinson came off the bench to Jericho Sims?
Tony, that's your guy. Go ahead. You go first.
I thought honestly, Mitch wasn't gonna play when I seen Sims start. So I mean, no, I think they was unsure about Mitch playing today, and I think they already told Sims he could start, and then he got the okay, and or worst case scenario, they wanted to give Sims a look, but I don't think there's any merit to it.
Okay.
I absolutely think there's smoke here, and I think when there's smoke, there's fire. Absolutely. Just they can tell Sims he's starting all they want, but if Mitchell Robinson, who I think we all can agree is the better player, right, is available to play, to me, I feel like any other team in any regular situation would start Mitchell Robinson in that situation, right? So I think there's definitely a lot of smoke here. I was at the game in Charlotte where I found out last minute that Mitch wasn't going to play at all, and I didn't see him on the bench or anything like that. I think Mitchell Robinson's days in New York are numbered. And I think it's unfortunate because I would like to bring Mitch back. I would like to bring.
You can't just speculate. You gotta give some merit to what you're saying. So what's the smoke?
The smoke is Mitchell Robinson was healthy and he came off the bench for Jericho Sims. That typically does not happen. That doesn't happen that way. And Mitchell Robinson still played a good amount of minutes tonight too. So it's not like they put him on the bench so he can play less. Right. So I think there's
back spasms though.
But he still played a significant amount of minutes, Tony. He still played. He just didn't start. That's what I'm saying. He just didn't start. So I think there's a lot of smoke there. And I think there's something going on behind the scenes that we don't know about in regards to Mitchell Robinson. I think there's a lot of smoke there.
So
sorry to say it.
You don't think that maybe it was because, and this is what I'm thinking, they wasn't sure if he was going to play. So he was a game time decision. And by the time they figured out that he was well enough to play, when he was, before the game, doing some workouts, running or whatever, figured out he was well enough to play, Tom said, you know what? We already got our starting group out there. We got a game plan together. Let me just keep these guys out there the way that it is now, and we'll get Mitch back for the next game.
No, Sam, absolutely not. If Mitchell Robinson's healthy enough to play, Mitchell Robinson should be the starter. He should be the starter. I don't see any reason why Tibbs couldn't have put Mitchell Robinson out there.
He could have, but he could have, right? But sometimes when you're coaching, you might have already said to the player, okay, you're starting tonight.
Game planned and everything.
Right? You did whatever game plan you had based on the players that you had, and then when someone comes available, you say, all right, I'm gonna let this rock out for tonight, and we'll get back to normal in the next game. Because if I already told Jericho Sims you're starting tonight, and then game time comes, I just think you don't do that. You know what I'm saying? You let the kid go ahead and start, and then the next game comes along, and you let him play, and then Mitchell Robinson takes a spot back.
Well, then that's the wrong decision to tell Jericho Sims that he's guaranteed to start if you knew Mitchell Robinson was going to be a game time decision. There's no way if Mitchell Robinson's healthy, he doesn't start if there's nothing else going on behind the scenes. There's just no way. Mitchell Robinson is the starter or the starting center for the team. He's been that way since the beginning of the season. If he's healthy enough to play, how come he didn't start?
Because of what I just said to you. You may have had a game plan that you set up for Jericho Sims. Let me see what he does against Bam Adebayo. I asked him to do this thing right here. I want to see, can he do it? You know what I'm saying? So let me see if he can do it. We had it in our mindset for him to start. Let me see if he can do it. I really don't think there's much to it. I want to now. In the next game on Sunday, if Jericho Sims starts over Mitchell Robinson, then I'll say there's some smoke to it. I'll say there's some smoke then. But as for right now, I think it was a game time decision. The kid was already going to start. This was our game plan right now on rocking with Jericho Sims. If Sunday Jericho Sims starts over Mitch, then I'll say there's some smoke.
Sim, make no mistake about it. And people are ready in the chat talking about, here we go, Josh. Here we go again. I want Mitchell Robinson to come. I want Mitchell Robinson to come back. I want Mitchell Robinson to come back. This is not me saying I want him gone. Like, people often confuse what I want to happen and what I think is currently happening in the situation. I want him to come back. I'm just saying, I just don't understand the reason why tell Jericho Sims he's guaranteed to start when you know your starting center is a game time decision. I don't think that was the case at all. I don't think that makes sense. That's why I think there's something there behind that. And I heard what you say, Sim, but I think it doesn't make sense considering that Mitchell Robinson still played a bunch of minutes. So
it's back spasms though. That's tricky. You might be saying you think, I don't know, I might be able to go. I'm not sure. All right. Well, we'll use you if we need you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see how this is
Tim, how many minutes did Mitchell Robinson play tonight? How many minutes did he play tonight?
I think he played 20-something minutes tonight. Not exactly sure, but I think he played 20-something minutes tonight.
So Tony, the point is he still played a significant amount of minutes. If his back spasms, then keep him out, right? But he still played. We're talking about starting versus not starting. But you might basically play the same amount of minutes that you always play, coming off the bench.
He played 19 minutes tonight. 19 minutes.
I don't think that has anything to do with anything. How many minutes he played? You saying because he played?
Well, you mentioned the injury. That was the reason why we're talking about this.
He's coming off an injury. He didn't play last game at all. He was injured. Today he was questionable.
This is what I'm asking you, Tony. This is what I'm asking.
All right, let me
what difference does it make whether he starts or whether he comes off the bench if he plays a significant amount of minutes?
If he wasn't questionable, if he was good to go for sure, and then he was bench, then I would say, yeah, there's smoke. You feel me? Like, he's coming off an injury. That happens all the time. A player comes off an injury, may not start the game because he's just coming back.
That does not happen all the time. If you're a game time decision and you're good enough to play and you're normally a starter, you start. That does not happen because it doesn't matter whether you come off the bench, you still play the same amount of minutes. So
he played less. He ended up playing less minutes than he normally plays. I really just think that it had to do with Tom Thibodeau had a game plan, and that's what he was going to rock with for tonight. You know what I'm saying? We will see. We'll get our answer on Sunday, I think. We'll get our answer on Sunday. Let me read a couple of these super chats here. Fred Wong, thank you for the super chat. He said, Sim, you got to stop making excuses. Give McBride his props. I'm going to stop there because I don't know what excuse I made. I gave him his props. Anyway, his defense sets the tone for others. We don't need Burks at point guard. We've seen this all year. McBride needs more minutes. He put clamps on Lowry. Listen, McBride played great, so I'm not taking anything away from Miles McBride. He played very good basketball. I love what he did down the stretch. He made some clutch shots. He made some good plays, got steals, assists. He did his thing in the fourth quarter. This does not mean he's going to do it every single night. Let the kid grow and develop. Be happy that he did it tonight. That's all I'm saying. Be happy he did it tonight. You know what I'm saying? Because what you got to understand is when you got these guys out here, there's no videotape on these guys to know what they do, to know what they don't do, because they're first-year players. Once they're out there for a length of time, everyone's saying, we could have been doing this all season long. Well, guess what? Now there's videotape. Now you know what this guy can do. Now, you know what? I know how I can get Miles in foul trouble. You know what I'm saying? Just let the guys ease into the game, please, and let them play. Not making excuses for what? Why am I making an excuse for Miles McBride? Or make an excuse for who? He played well. He did his thing out there. I'm glad. I'm happy. Come on, man. Like, why would I not be happy for him? Andrew
by the way, down the stretch of the game, Immanuel Quickley was the lead.
He was the lead. He was the lead, no doubt. He was the lead. I mean, Miles played great defense, but he was the lead.
He did, yeah.
Andrew Nash, thank you for the super chat. He said, we don't need to invest in no big-time players going into next season. We need to believe in our young core and allow them to grow. We can make moves, but we don't need to do anything drastic. Listen, I don't think we're going to do anything drastic. I don't think it's out there for us to do anything drastic. So what you're saying, Andrew, I think is exactly right. The Knicks are going to invest in these young guys. They've been investing in them. People say differently, but they've been investing in them. And I'm not gonna come off it, just because they played well and got a win. I'm not all of a sudden going to switch around and say, he should have been doing this, that, and the third, because I think it's been being done throughout the entire season. It's just that your favorite player wasn't out there on the floor when you wanted him to be out there on the floor. Anyway, he's been investing in the young guys, and I think they'll continue to invest in the young guys. I think there'll be some changes, and I think it'll be some vets, maybe a young guy that gets moved, to bring in a point guard. Every time, I look at Tony, every time I see Tony smile, I'm like, I know somebody said something in the chat. You know what I'm saying? Every time I see Tony smile, so I'm anxious to get there and look at it. But I do think, there'll be a couple of vets that are moved to bring in a point guard somehow, some way. And things will be, I'm hoping, cleared up so that our young guys can play a little bit more. But regardless of who's your coach or what they do, they're not going 15 deep. Sorry. So if we get a rookie out the draft and we still got second-year players on this team and third-year and fourth-year players, that rookie might not play. Don't burn your bridges and go crazy if you don't. Because you're not playing 15 guys consistently. Tom Thibodeau says it all the time. Everybody will get their chance at some point because there's injuries, there's this, there's that, and there's that. Some people will get their chance, and sometimes you just got to let it happen naturally. We want to force everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
We want to force everything. We want to force square pegs in the round holes. Andrew Nash, thank you for the super chat again. Appreciate you. He said, did we see my man Obi with the mid-range shot? You know, we've seen it several times this season, actually. He just doesn't do it consistently. You know what I mean? Right. But we've seen that he can pull that mid-range shot, knock down the mid-range shot. We just need to see him do it more consistently on the court. You know what I'm saying? Tony, I see you smiling and whatnot. Tell me what's out there. Tell me what they're saying, man. I'm pretty sure people trying to fire me up. I'm cool with it. I don't care.
It's a lot of you know. Let me see. What we got here? It's like people don't like to admit when they're wrong.
About what?
Which you know, this is the reason I came on tonight. Like I said, I was tired. I wasn't gonna come on, win or lose. I said, yo, let me face the music with these guys. You know, because one thing I said about Deuce in particular was he needs to play with the same mindset that he plays in the G League. And I think we saw that today. Now, I'm not saying he's going to put those numbers up because I don't think he's going to do that against the NBA competition. But he was tentative early on in his limited minutes. Tonight, he looked like he played the way he plays in the G League. You know, he was aggressive. He took his shots when he was open. He made hard decisions, tough. You know what I mean? Like he made all the right moves. No tentativeness. Now, granted, that could be because one, he knows he's going to get the minutes tonight. You know what I mean? Like he knows I don't know what it is, but he played good tonight. I give him his props, but he has to play with that type of aggression every night. Same with Obi. Oh, this is one of Obi's best games I've seen him play. Like all around, the 3-point shot was hitting. What did I say about Obi? He needs to start hitting that 3-point shot because it's going to open up his game. He's going to be able to pump fake and drive because other than that, he's not going to be able to create his own shot unless he's doing something to where he's getting the guy off balance. But you don't want him like jab stepping. You don't really want him. That's not part of his game yet. So he has to use his athleticism, his speed, and things of that nature. He did that tonight. So, good.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I agree with you 100%. But look at the difference between a McBride and an Obi and that learning curve about them not being aggressive as rookies when they first come out there. And look at someone like Grimes and someone like Immanuel Quickley out the gate, aggressive. That's the reason why they played a lot during their rookie seasons. Right. And on the flip side, you look at these guys, it's taking them a little bit longer to get adjusted to that and get into that mindset of I need to be aggressive. I need to take advantage of the opportunity that I have in front of me. You know, whether a guy is hurt or not in front of me, I need to take advantage of the minutes that I have on the floor and be aggressive and go balls to the wall. And for some young players, they get it right away and some young players don't. So I totally agree with you, Tony. And I think that's going to be the difference. The next step for Obi, just like I said with RJ, the next step for him is to become aggressive and start attacking more and you know, develop in the bag, essentially. Same with Miles McBride at the NBA level. So I agree with you 100% on that.
Let me ask you guys this, and I'm going to get to a phone call, then I'll come back to you for you to answer it. How are you feeling right now about Immanuel Quickley? Because we're seeing more and more and more from IQ and his ability to run the team. We're seeing a lot more from him. So let me get to this phone call, and then I want you, think about it a little bit, and I'm going to come back to you. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
It's D from North Carolina.
What's going on, D? How you feeling?
What's going on? This was an awesome win, and, I think there was a lot of things that, showed up in this game. And, one key thing that I took out of this game, and a lot of people might have overlooked it or whatever, but it was when, I don't know if you remember when Grimes traveled, Tibbs looked at him, smiled, and made a joke with him instead of trying to pull him out.
Yeah, that was big. I seen that. Yeah, I seen that. He traveled over. He was in the corner or something like that, right?
Yeah.
He traveled
Yep.
And he was coming down, and Tibbs looked at him and, smiled a little bit. They had a little conversation there. Yeah, go ahead.
That was big. But see, this also goes back in a sense to the other day when you were talking about the max with Randle. All the respect that the people were giving Randle now put that bigger target on his back. And it's not that Barrett had a bad game, but they were doubling him, and they were making sure that he didn't get the ball in his good spots. But Quickley and all the young guys, what they proved tonight was a lot of these teams aren't going to be able to double Randle without everybody else scoring. So it was good for Randle to see the smoke that he's going to be getting, but also for the kids to come up big, because Sims came up big, McBride, Grimes, Quickley was a monster. They all came up big, and it was good. And not only that, but now the value of everybody just went up. And Obi, he was balling, So it's all about minutes. Everybody's saying, Obi needs to play, but they have to get the minutes in order to get that confidence. And they got the minutes. That's why they were playing like that.
Yeah, and
I just think it was a good overall game, and I'm glad Tibbs stuck with that lineup for a while and let them play out.
Right.
Because he saw that they were doubling Barrett like crazy.
Right. And when you get the wins, when you get the minutes, you got to do something with them. You know what I mean? The last time that Obi was out there, and you got to do it on both ends, not just points. You know what I'm saying? Not just points.
And everybody's talking about when Cam comes back, and they're talking about, we got too many players. But you know what? Having too many assets is not a bad thing. You think about this. Imagine if with that young core, if we had a legitimate point guard, now we have assets to try to get a legitimate point guard. Whether it's Brunson, whoever it is, we got legitimate assets to get a legitimate point guard.
Yeah, I hear you. Hey, my man D, I appreciate your time, man. Appreciate your call. I know I got some more.
I appreciate you taking the call.
Yeah,
everybody throw the thumbs up for your boy.
Yeah, do that. Appreciate you, brother. Peace.
All right.
Let me get to this super chat, and then I'll come right to it. Nikki Barrett, or Nikki B from Harlem. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. He said, great win tonight. Tibbs has been slowly bringing the young players along the right way. He made them earn their minutes, and it shows. He deserves more credit. The team is in every game. I agree with you 100%. You know what I mean? I agree 100%. I know people are saying that, making excuses for this, that, and the third. I agree with exactly what Nikki said. You know what I mean? Exactly what Nikki said. But anyway, back to IQ. Tony, I'll start with you, man. What do you think?
I mean, obviously, I love it because the shot was his fault. Let me just, again, because I gave my take on Obi. I gave my take on Deuce. I was one of those people that was down on Quickley middle of the season when his shot wasn't falling and the shot selection that he was taking. But even then, I admitted, I said, he's getting better at facilitating. He's getting better at defense. It's showing. He's rebounding the ball. So I credited him where he needed the credit. He was just killing us with his missed shots and bad shots that missed. But so obviously I think me and Queen talked about it. I think I wouldn't be surprised if he starts at point guard next year. They groomed him for it for a reason. You know what I mean? They told him to work on it in the offseason for a reason. So they obviously had an inkling that they was at least going to take a look at it. So I wouldn't be surprised if that is the move. And yeah, if he's in a groove right now, and this is what I was expecting from him early, and hopefully he continues it. But I love it.
Yeah, Josh, any thoughts quickly?
Yeah, and this is what I was saying. Everyone was screaming, play the kids, give the kids extended minutes. Quickley was playing the whole time, 22 years old, and everyone wanted to see him gone. So to me, it just shows the double standard when it comes to, people's favorite players. And I'm not talking about you specifically, Tony. I'm talking about just a lot of the Knicks fans. They have their favorites, and that's pretty much what it comes down to. Now, Immanuel quickly showing that growth, right? That patience. And I think, at some point he is going to be a lead guard, at some point. I still do think the Knicks need to go outside the organization and bring in a starting caliber point guard here, and have him and Immanuel quickly fight it out and battle for it. I think that's good for development and competition too. So I'm all for that, but I like the way Quickley's playing right now. And if he can continue to get better, then at some point he's going to be a lead guard, hopefully for us, but if not, for someone else.
So let me ask you this: if you both think that he's going to be, like Tony, you said, there's a possibility that, if the Knicks don't get one of these guards, that he could start next year. Uncle Fulio, you're saying he'll be, a lead guard one day. Why not do it now? When you have, at this point in the season, when you have it right, where the Knicks are right now, why not let him rock out for the last 8 games?
I'm willing to do that. I have no problem with doing that. But your question was about next season. I think next season and beyond is a little bit of a question mark. That's why I would definitely bring it outside the organization. But for these last 8 games, why the hell not? Particularly if we get eliminated from the playoffs, I would definitely do it.
And Sim, you know what? Not for nothing. Even when I was down on him, I was calling for him to start.
You did. No doubt about that.
So I like that look better than Burks, to be honest. But that is a Tibbs thing. Even though I'm a Tibbs guy, even though there's things he does I don't agree with, I don't like. But
right.
And
maybe it could be that he's just like, listen, this is what we've been doing. If I bring him in there, for these 9 games here, he's gonna have to, maybe make this adjustment, that adjustment. His confidence is high. Let me just let him rock out while his confidence is high. You know what I'm saying? And then we can try to do something next season or whenever. You know what I mean? It could be as simple as that.
And Sim, let me just add, when I was down on Quickley and wanted to use him as trade bait or whatever the case, the main reason was the development or the emergence of Grimes. I thought Grimes made Quickley expendable. So again, logically, I was looking at Grimes coming in playing defense immediately out the gate. Quickley wasn't doing that like that. It was a slow progression. And the other thing that I noticed and I said out loud in the chat was, even in his slump, Tibbs had confidence and trusted in Quickley, put him in down a stretch, even in a slump, gave him opportunities to tie games, to win games when we needed that shot at the end of the game. So that told me a lot too, that once you in Tibbs in a circle, like you said, Sim, you're not getting out of it.
Once you in that circle of trust, man. Once you are in Thibodeau's circle of trust, that's it. You're in it.
But Tony, you don't have to explain yourself for wanting to include Immanuel Quickley in a trade. You don't have to explain yourself for that. People have these notions that if you say package this person for someone that's better, that's legitimately better, that you're shopping this kid and you're just actively pushing him out there saying, I don't want him on my team. If there's an opportunity for you to go out and get a better player, you're going to have to give up some pieces. So people, I like Quickley. I'm sure you like Quickley a lot too. You believed in his development, but just because you said you'll trade him doesn't mean that you're actively pushing him out there saying you don't want him on the team. So you don't have to explain that for people to understand. I know exactly what you were saying when you said you would include Immanuel Quickley in the trade. I knew exactly where you were coming from with that.
It's not even really about explaining, but I also want to be the one of the people that own up to everything I say. If I say something, I believe it when I say it. You know what I mean? I'm not just saying it trolling or clickbait or whatever the case. I really mean what I say, and I think logically about it when I say it. So, that's why I'm always up for a debate whenever, whenever we disagree with anything. Not me and you, but anyone.
Right.
I'm basically talking to the chat, but
Oh yeah, no, because I'm talking to him too. Because everyone's like, "Oh, Josh, we got receipts about what you said about RJ." Yeah, and I ain't running from those receipts. I stand by what the hell I said. The Public Enemy. I didn't say I wanted to put RJ on the bench last season. I said it earlier this year. So how about that?
And ladies and gentlemen, let's just look at some numbers behind the game. The Knicks outscored the Miami Heat 111-103, and they had been losing. I think the Miami Heat coming into this game were averaging 112 points per game against the Knicks, and the Knicks were only averaging 98 points against the Heat. Tonight, it's kind of flipped around. The Knicks 111, Miami Heat 103. The Knicks 49 rebounds tonight. The Miami Heat 42, 23 assists for the Knicks, 18 for the Heat, 8 steals for the Knicks, 6 for the Heat, 2 blocks for the Knicks, 3 for the Heat. The Knicks only 11 turnovers tonight. They came into this game averaging 18 turnovers against the Heat. Only 11 tonight. 15 turnovers for the Miami Heat. The Knicks shot 43.9% from the field. It's not particularly great, but it was enough. The Miami Heat actually shot 50% from the field. The Knicks shot 34% from 3. The Miami Heat actually shot 36% from 3. All right, so they shot better than the Knicks tonight. The Knicks, 78% from the free throw line. The Miami Heat, 84%. The Heat outscored the Knicks in the paint, 36-34. Get this, though. The Knicks, 28 second chance points, and Miami Heat, 14. That's a big reason right there. I mean, the Knicks out-rebounded the Heat by 7. Second chance points, 28-14. And then the Knicks, 13 fast break points to the Miami Heat, just 2 fast break points on the night.
And I think I heard them say Mitchell Robinson had 7 rebounds at one point, all offensive.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Mitchell Robinson is an offensive rebounding demon. There's no doubt about that, man.
All I can think about was Steph talking about, but no defensive rebound.
Right. But he is an offensive rebounding demon. That kid can rebound the ball, man, offensively. Talking about Mitch, Lewis Wilkinson, thank you for the super chat. He said, Josh, you have to understand, back spasms ain't no joke. So he was we don't even have to go back into it. I just want to let you know what Lewis said. He said, back spasms ain't a joke. And then my man, Chester Chetnick, thank you for the super chat. He said, Tibbs haters. He's talking to all the Tibbs haters out there. He said, shut up. And if it wasn't for this channel, he would have threw another word in there. He would have threw it. I'm speaking for you, Chester. I'm speaking for you. He would have threw another word in there, but he didn't. He's being respectful. He said, that's what development looks like. It is. It is what development looks like. Another guy developing on the team. And as soon as I get that Tom Thibodeau presser, we're going to put it up here. Trust me, I'm looking and I'm keeping it there. Keeping my eye on it. RJ Barrett tonight. Okay? He got a taste of what it looks like to be the number one guy. Good taste. They were queuing on him. They knew what he wanted to do. They knew he wanted to try to get into the lane and kick it out or score if he had the chance. They were throwing 2 at him. Right? It's not that many times in his career so far where he's seen, he come across the half-court line and 2 people are coming at him. You know what I'm saying? So he learned a lot tonight, I think. What did you see, Tony, tonight from RJ Barrett? I'm not, I seen someone say, we're giving RJ a pass. Or someone in the chat said they're giving him a pass because he didn't shoot well, this, that, and the third. But listen, just like I've said it about Randle on multiple occasions, especially in the beginning of the season, he's learning how to be this guy. Same thing. This is one game where RJ was really, really the focal point because these other 3 games when Julius Randle was out and RJ was, had to be the guy out there on the floor, he wasn't dropping 30 a game like coming into tonight. So coming into tonight, this kid had been dropping 30 a game. They're looking and saying, we got to stop him. So this is really the first time that he had that kind of spotlight. So if anybody's mad that he didn't shoot well from the field, come on, chill out. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's figuring this thing out, and he's figuring it out on the fly. You know what I mean? So you got to give him the chance to see what it looks like and then go from there. But, Tony, your thoughts, man, on what you seen from RJ tonight.
I'm going to start with love. So what I really loved was he recognized he wasn't having a good game and deferred. You know what I mean? Not deferred to the point where he was passive, but when other guys had it rocking, he gave the ball up and let them do it. Even when he came back in with 3 minutes left, he didn't come in and demand the ball. he let IQ rock until IQ missed the shot. You know what I mean? IQ had like 3 straight possessions. You know what I mean? Where it was his play, it was his move, and until he missed, RJ said was like, all right, let me go. So, you know, I'm a Randle supporter, but that's something that Randle needs to get better at learning how that he doesn't have to be the hero all the time. You know what I mean? Like, use your teammates, and I think RJ did that. The one thing I didn't like, whether it was warranted or not, a lot of complaining. I think they did miss a lot of calls tonight on him in particular, but a lot of complaining. I don't want that to become a habit. You know what I mean? Like, he has a good demeanor and a good reputation. Keep that. That's important. Especially coming up from, you know, what we've witnessed this year with Randle, and hopefully that doesn't be a detriment.
Yeah, no doubt. And you know, it takes, and this is where, like, when we were having a discussion yesterday about whether or not he should, you know, get a max, right? This is where you don't know how he's going to react when he is the man. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, that kind of came up. People are like, oh, we know he's going to be this, we know he's going to be that. You don't. You're not exactly sure yet. And so it takes times like this to really see, you know what I'm saying, what he's going to be and what his demeanor is going to be like. I tend to think that he's going to be one of those guys that has a really good demeanor and is able to handle it. And times like this, he's going to learn from it and start to understand, like, you know, all right, I got to keep my head focused in the game. You know what I'm saying? But I think he did okay. Right? In the beginning of the game, he was getting to the basket. Right from the beginning of the game, he was getting to the basket. I think he had 3 assists right off the bat. Right? He had one to Evan Fournier for sure. I think he had one to Alec Burks, and there was someone else he kicked it to, and he got an assist right off the bat. And from there, I think Miami said, all right, we're not going to let this guy get off like this. We got to find a way to stop him. So then they started throwing different types of defenses at him. And I thought he did okay. You know, he had some turnovers. He tried to get inside and kick it out, you know, and continue to do what he was doing, and there were turnovers, right? They were jumping those passes because they knew what he was going to do. And then when it was time for him to get a shot, they were making sure they were bumping him and banging him a little bit. And that's what happens. Remember Michael Jordan back in the day, right? The Pistons, they started killing him, destroying him. And what he do, he say, I got to get stronger. I got to get better. I got to get stronger so that when I go to the basket, I don't get destroyed like this. You know what I'm saying? And it's just one of those things that RJ's going to have to go through. He's going to have to learn how to adjust to different defenses on the fly. You know what I mean? Use his, like you're saying, Tony, use his teammates to help break the pressure. Tom Thibodeau says it all the time. Don't fight pressure with the pressure. Use his teammates to break the pressure. And I think he'll get it, but it's going to take time. It's going to take time and experience for him to get it. You know what I mean? But Uncle Fulio, what's your thoughts on what you've seen from him tonight?
So first, Sam, I'm going to have to disagree with you when you say that tonight was the first time you've seen RJ Barrett really get double teamed, because I think even before this game, I want to say like after, you know, that 30-point game started to creep up there and he was like starting to become a major focal point of the offense. That's when I started seeing teams double team a little bit more and how he was able to handle it and stuff like that. So I don't think tonight was the first time we've seen that. But I think there's pros and cons to this situation. And on the negative side, the cons, I would say, I don't think RJ right now is at a level where he is just like at that elite level of shot making, right? I mean, that's not a bad thing. I think he can always grow into that, right? The pros of that is the mentality he has, the mentality of still remaining aggressive despite not being efficient. You know, not necessarily chucking up shots, but still remaining aggressive when he has the ball in his hands, taking advantage, getting to the hole, still playmaking, still on the defensive end, guarding the opposing team's best player. I think all that has to count for something, and that's why, you know, a lot of people feel very comfortable about him moving forward. Now, you know, tonight, Miami, like you said, they blitzed him. You know, Miami's a really good defensive team. They blitzed him, always 2 guys, and he was able to give the ball up. Sometimes put up some bad shots, But in the second half, he was able to come along a little bit more, start knocking his shots down, and that gave him some confidence. So I think, tonight is, like you said, a game for RJ to really figure out, how he can be able to get past these double teams and develop being the man. And that's all a part of his development. And I'm excited about what the future holds for him in that regard. Am I still willing to pay him $181 million, $36 million a season? Not yet. But I think he's working his way there. And I think, it's something we can consider next season.
Yeah. Now, see, I'm not saying that he hasn't seen a double team before, because he's seen a double team.
They game plan to double team.
They game planned for him. I just think it was different.
No, I've seen that. I've seen other teams do that before, but I think Miami, because of the way they play defense, is a little bit more. I've seen it personally. Like,
I mean, look,
past few games.
Listen, we've seen him get double teamed. I just think it was a little bit different tonight. You know what I'm saying? With the way that they really cued in on RJ, it was. I think it was a little bit different. I don't know. I mean, maybe he has seen as soon as he stepped over the floor, two guys coming at him. But I just think it was a little bit different the way that they really cued in and said, hey, because I think their thought process was, let's take him out the game because we don't think anybody else can score.
Right.
Makes sense. I think that was their thought process. But this is Tom Thibodeau, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hear what Tom Thibodeau has to say.
Interesting game. I thought our starters played really well in the first half, and in the bench didn't play as well as we would have liked. And then the second half, it was just the opposite. And the starters were okay. They were actually decent, and then the bench came in and they were terrific in the second half. So it was good. Like when you're shorthanded like that, you need everyone to play their best, and I thought we did. But these guys have been great. They've been practicing well, and they're playing winning basketball, and we just want to keep getting better.
I mean, what does it say about? I mean, Julius is not playing. You had RJ Barrett on the bench for most of the fourth quarter. And you have these young guys doing this against the Miami Heat. I mean, what does it say about?
Yeah, well, I think that the thing is as I said, it's a long season. You need everyone. Like we also had, Taj was in there for a good chunk of that as well, but and that's why you have a bench, and that's why you have depth, and depth is critical in today's NBA. Just for a lot of reasons, and so I think the important thing is the team is playing since the All-Star break is playing very well, and they've also they're practicing well, and when you practice well, you normally play well. It's pretty simple.
But the young legs in the fourth quarter, how much did that help? I mean, it seemed like the Heat weren't expecting that type of barrage.
Well, they were the same young legs that we had in the first half.
Right.
So like the thing is like, I mean, you guys are like trying to nitpick this, nitpick that, but you need everyone over the course of the season, right? So, we love our young guys. We see it every day. They're supposed to bring energy, and they did. They were terrific, but you need RJ, you need Julius, you need Mitch, you need everyone. And so you need Evan, you need Alec. It's a team. It's not an individual thing. It's you can't just pick up a box score after and say, like the thing is like, how many people are watching the game after the game is played to really know exactly what happened in the game. So like I see a lot of opinions, but I don't see a lot of people doing the work to actually study it.
McBride's defense on Lowry in the fourth quarter. What did you think of it?
And not an easy cover because of his ability to shoot, but also his ability to draw fouls. And so, he came up with big rebound in traffic. Those are winning type plays, and so it's terrific. I thought Quentin gave us really good minutes. He's been shaking the rust off for a while, but I thought second half he got his rhythm going too. And Jericho's he's given us a lot of hustle plays, putting pressure on the rim. And then, Taj is sort of, jack of all trades, does everything. We can put him on anybody, play the 4, play the 5. He's played the 3 for us. Whatever you ask him to do, he just goes out there and does it, plays for his teammates, helps you execute, knows all the little details of every play, knows the details of every scheme. So it's not just like individual, well, this guy made a great play, but he doesn't fulfill any of his team responsibilities. You got to know what your team responsibilities are. That has to be paramount. And so that's how you win in this league.
When you were talking about the opinions from people who want to watch the game. What's the
we
common
go.
misconception?
You know they were going for it.
No, I'm just saying, like, everyone has all the answers right after a game, and oftentimes they haven't studied. Like, so how do you really know? Like, and I don't want anything to divide our team. I want our team together. That's how you win. You win as a team. You lose as a team, right? So when I see like stuff being written or people talking about this, that, and like oftentimes you hear it all the time, and then when you actually do study it and you watch the game again, and maybe you watch it a third time, you actually know what transpired.
Has that been just in general an issue this season with maybe social media, fans choosing one player to talk
Well,
about?
It's where we are in society today. With social media, it's a different animal, and like, look, hey, it's part of the game. We love it. It drives the game. It's as popular as it's ever been. But like, to me, I don't like anything that eats away at the fabric of the team. And so, people want to take one game, whether it's a win or a loss, and they want, well, this, and this. No, it's, and oftentimes the things that they're saying, a guy might make one good play in the game and he has 9 bad plays. Or conversely, he makes 9 good plays and he has 1 bad play.
Have you talked to the team about trying to stay off the social media this season?
No, I just talked to them about staying away from you. Say that's a joke. So. No, like at the beginning of the year, we bring in, because it's a big part of the league, and you just got to be careful with it. And it's different, but that's, we're all the same. You have information constantly coming at you, and even if you stay off it, there's going to be people telling you what they're saying. So you're going to hear it, right? So just block it out. Don't get distracted. Come in every day knowing that, hey, some days you may not play great, but you can still help the team win. And I just want the team to keep growing, just keep improving, keep learning. We got young guys. They're going to learn. Trial and error is a big part of learning. Bring energy to the group. Vets help the young guys grow. And then I want them to grow as well. That's what I love about Taj. Taj is, I don't know how many years in the league now, but a lot. And he keeps adding to his game, and he loves every aspect of being on a team. He loves the meetings, he loves the weight room, he loves the travel, he loves every aspect of being on a team. And when you have guys like that put the team first, good things will happen. So that's what we're trying to do.
Tom, why'd you start Jericho?
Because I could. No,
seriously, that's
no. It's a good question. It's just, we really didn't know where Mitch was, So, and really, like the fact that he tried to go to help the team says a lot, So that was a real positive. And he got loose and he felt good, so he played more and he played well, So I think that's the key for us. And so to me, it's like whatever you can give us, whatever you can give the team to help us win, we're all for it. Sacrifice for the team, put the team first, and I think he did that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So there you go, Tom Thibodeau. Whew. Well, I mean, I guess we go.
That might be one of my favorite Tib post game.
Yeah, definitely. Me too. One of my favorite ones. Well, thoughts, man. Uncle Fulio, thoughts. Thoughts, man.
So first thing, when he was talking about like the Twitter and the social media, like while he was going on that whole rant, I was thinking I already thought of like 5 immediate Nick Twitter / podcasting people that he was talking to, just off the top of my head. And listen, look.
Hey, he might have been talking to us too.
He might have been.
No, he was. Tom, but I watched each game twice. I'm telling you right now, I watch each game twice.
I think he was talking about, state, whatever. But anyway, I think I think there's a difference between Tibbs' philosophy as a coach and what's happening and transpiring on the floor, right? To me, I agree with his philosophy about, you got to get what you earn. Young players have to stay ready throughout the entirety of the season. It's a team thing. We need everybody because injuries are going to happen throughout the season. And I believe in that philosophy wholeheartedly, right? But I think that the thing with Tibbs and the thing that I don't like about him is offense. The offense is just so stagnant, so lethargic. He doesn't really have, and even a defense. We play good defense, but he's just not creative enough and not new school enough. And I think that's the difference. People often mix those two up. And because the team isn't winning, Tibbs just has to go. He has to go. But I think Tibbs has been doing a lot of good things with this team. I don't know if it's going to be enough to save his job, but I think he's been doing a lot of good things with this team. And I'm glad that he decided to defend himself, because I think people sometimes go overboard on social media without fully understanding the facts and watching the games. So.
Yeah, Tony.
Man, I just love it. I love him pretty much telling it like it is. Josh, his job is safe. We that's been cleared at least for another year. So we got that. But yeah, I love it. Oh, and Josh, you heard what he said about Mitch, right?
Yeah, but he didn't answer the question right away. He kind of was like, "Oh, yeah, whatever."
Because
we'll find out on Sunday. We'll find out on Sunday. No, let's stick to that. Let's stick to we'll find out on Sunday.
He said because he started off. He said because I could.
Hello.
Hold on, one second, caller. He said because I can. He said why'd you start talking? He said because I can. I mean, why'd you start Sims? Because I can. And then he went on.
I thought we were gonna wait till Sunday. What happened? Okay.
Because he answered the question. We can wait till Sunday. We can wait till Sunday.
He asked the question. He got asked the question. I thought you typed it in or something. But not. I love it. He's basically saying this is the message he's been telling the team. Obviously,
right?
Like we got to stick together. We you know what I mean. Ignore all that outside noise. To be honest, it sounds like it's affected Randle. You know what I mean? Obviously we speculated that it has, but this sounds like confirmation that you know what I mean. Like it's seeped into the locker room.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not good. But it also seems like he's proud of them because they kind of have that togetherness and they win together, they lose together, like he said. And I think the team believes that. And that's what's most important. And to be honest, if the team comes back, minus one guy, I think we're going to be a better team. I really do. I think it builds character.
Yeah. Blue Hefner said, Sim, you love Thibodeau. He ain't talking about you, not even close. Listen, I give Thibodeau criticism when I need to give him credit. When I feel like I need to give him criticism, I do. If I don't like a rotation that he did or a decision that he made, I give it to him. Mitch, what's going on? Caller, what's going on, man? What's going on?
Not much. I mean, I just got done with the Legion covering the game tonight.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I was in the whole podcast for most of the game this time around. Let's just say like this. For most of the game, I was pretty jaded with how badly the Knicks were going in the first half. The sluggish penetration, the lazy defense on the pick and roll, the overkill amount on the ISO, RJ having one of his worst shooting nights of the season, having to put most of the burden on guys like Quickley, Obi, Burks, and it was making me want. And again, this is another game that on paper, I wouldn't have minded if the Knicks lost, and yet somehow they turn the tables on me and they win.
Hey, I mean, you know what? This the thing, and I said it in the game preview. This team is hard to get a handle on right now because they're just tough to get a handle on and knowing exactly what they're going to do, out there on the floor. I mean,
for 38 points in the final quarter, limiting the Heat to just 15. When I wanted to get on Knicks streams and they play this good, even just one quarter, I'm asking myself, where the F has this Knicks team been all damn season?
Well, the thing, Matt,
is that I jinx myself and the team because the minute I say that, they fall apart.
But this is the thing, though, Mets. This is the thing. they're not a good team right now. And when you're not a good team, you're going to have some nights where you play well, and then some nights where you do not play well. You dig what I'm saying? So you're going to have nights where you look like, man, how come they can't do this? And then you have more nights where they just can't do it. That's why they're not a good team, because they're inconsistent.
I understand that, Sim, but that being said, it's a nice breath of fresh air if we keep Randle on the bench, because his bad attitude rubs off on the team the wrong way. He slows everything down. I think he let both his MIP award and his contract extension go a bit too much to his head. And he basically regressed back to what he was like when he started back in 2014. Granted, not as bad as he was when he started, but still regressed enough to where it seemed like that.
Okay. I mean,
because the big question is, does Randle hold this team back? A lot. Some of the times, no, but a lot of the times with his play style and his attitude, yes.
I mean, listen, his attitude has been terrible this year. I'm going to say that. His attitude has been horrible. And I would not be surprised if the front office decided to move on from him because of his attitude. I'll just leave it there. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know what they're going to do down the remainder of this season. I wouldn't mind seeing Obi out there play and really get the chance to see what he has. And let Randle go ahead and rest his quad.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? During the offseason,
Sims out there more often over Mitch. Let Mitch rest that back.
Yeah, I hear you. I think that's one thing with Mitch. That's one thing with Mitch.
He's got spot is stretched in because Noel's knees and the fact that I think he's gained a little weight in the wrong direction have hurt Nerlens Noel. He doesn't have that same explosiveness on the defensive end of the ball that he had last year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one thing with Mitch, though, going back to Mitch is, having those back issues, man, that could bother you for a little while. But Mets, I appreciate your time, man. Appreciate the call. Glad we got the win. Nice to see the young guys do it.
Next stop, Detroit, and let's hope we can make some steaks out of the Bulls on Monday.
Next stop, Detroit. Let's do it, man. You get that win. All of a sudden, you won 3 in a row. Sounds good. Appreciate you, Mets. Appreciate the time, man. Let me get to another call here. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
Yo, this is Big Frank from L.A., but raised in Brooklyn.
All right. What's going on, Frank? How you feeling, man?
Yo, I mean, I'm feeling good because it's finally good to actually see the youth. My challenge still, for everyone who says Tibbs does play the youth, I still have to disagree that it's almost by force, and especially clutch time for them to get experience. How do you keep Fournier and Burks in when you have Grimes, you got McBride defensively doing clutch times for the past 30 games? And how do you have Burks starting at point guard, failed over and over 40 games? Watching the man slowly, talk about egos and building up confidence. I think Burks is losing confidence in his game because he's being forced into the wrong position for so long. He's not being used correctly. Sorry, man. I gotta just check.
Well, we're gonna respectfully disagree because I think Tibbs has been even before he played Quentin Grimes or Deuce or Jericho Sims, you had at least 4 guys, 2 guys in your starting lineup who were under 24 years old, right? Mitch, what's Mitch right now? 23? Under 23, yeah. Under 23 years old. One, RJ's 21 years old. You had Immanuel Quickley, who's 21 years old, might be 22 now. And then you got Obi Toppin, in that second unit. So out of a 10-man rotation, 4 of those guys were really young. You know what I mean? So that's why I disagree. People forget about.
I disagree. RJ was the number 3 pick. I don't think he had a choice if RJ was.
But that's the thing. It doesn't matter if he's a number 3. It doesn't matter if he's a number 3 pick. He's still a young guy, and he's a starter. People want to forget about Mitch, and they want to forget about RJ, and they want to
Now,
forget about
I'm not
Quickley
gonna-
and
I
Obi.
still don't-
Like these guys are
You're
young
right,
guys
you're right,
playing.
Okay, let's give you Mitch. Let's give you RJ. Mitch is necessity. We don't have it at the center. I mean, he's played Taj sometimes 20-plus minutes. Taj with Sims and Mitch and Noel around, whenever they were healthy at all, Taj cannot pull 30 minutes in a game and be ready for the next 2 or 3 games. I mean, it's just something that should have never been to that degree. Again, I'm not trying to say to bench these guys. I'm saying give the youth 5, 10, 15 minutes. I mean, especially garbage time. That's how RJ got hurt, man. Garbage time. You don't say, oh, well, let's get these guys and give them 5 minutes of the feel of real game. It's not development, just watching Burks do what he does over and over again for McBride. He's learned what not to do, but if he sits there and he can just get 2 minutes just feel the adrenaline rush of a real live game, even when you're down by 25, it doesn't really help you until you get in there and all of a sudden you finally get a few games on your belt. And now look at how relaxed they are because they had to have some time. I'm not saying replace them. I'm saying give them incremental times. That's all I'm saying.
All right, and all I'm saying is guys got time throughout the season. Jericho Sims, he got some time throughout the season. Quentin Grimes got some time. He got a lot of time throughout the season. I mean, even when guys were there, once Derek, and I know Derrick Rose went down, but Quentin Grimes has played more than half the season.
Okay.
He's played more than half the season, and he's closed a couple of games before now.
With Fournier on the bench. Immanuel
Quickley's closed games with Fournier on the bench. With Burks on the bench too. I mean, it's been a mix. It's sometimes he's trying to win games, so he's trying to find. You got to remember, coming into the season, it wasn't about just development. Coming into the season, it was about trying to win. Right, and so he's trying to figure out. So he's trying to figure out the right combination of players. But now you're looking down the stretch of the season when he knows he's probably out, and people are going to say it's out of necessity, and maybe it is. But they're out there.
Okay. I mean,
they're out there.
I mean, again, I'm not saying fire tips. I'm saying there have been so many questionable rotations, and playing Burks 35-plus minutes just hurts watching him struggle for that much time because he has literally been struggling. And I mean, I think it's no coincidence that McBride put up 5 assists in less than 17 minutes tonight. And I don't think it's coincidence. I just think he's a point guard, and that's what he does. And Burks is not a point guard. IQ's learned to be a point guard, but still, Burks gets 35 minutes a night. This is the best night I've ever seen in a game. Because even Randle and RJ, and I love both of them as far as being skilled, but they shouldn't be putting 40-plus a night because at the fourth quarter, I think part of the reason why they collapse is because they're tired. I think Tibbs is pushing them too hard, and that's his history. He's pushed his vets too hard for 40-plus minutes and not spreading minutes around. And so even forget about this being the youth, just spread the minutes around because you have, I don't think, an 8-man rotation with 40 minutes for, 2 or 3 guys.
I mean, it hasn't been an 8. It's been a 10-man rotation, Frank. It's been a 10-man rotation all season long.
No, I'm not saying even if it's an 8-man rotation, I'm still saying that 40 minutes for Randle and RJ, and then 35 minutes for Burks, still had their legs weak at the end of the game, which is why I think we've collapsed at the end of most games. That's just my opinion.
I need to respond.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's part of their
Go ahead. Uncle Fulio wants to respond to you a little bit.
First and foremost, if you have an 8-man rotation, guys are going to be tired no matter what because it's an 8-man rotation, right? That's the first thing. The second thing you said about McBride having 5 assists in 17 minutes, that doesn't necessarily mean he's the best point guard, right? Your point guard doesn't always have to lead you in assists. Right? Typically, your guy who has the ball in his hand, for the most part, which is for the Knicks team, is going to be Randle or RJ. They're going to lead you in assists. Your point guard does not have to lead you in assists, right? And this whole notion about playing kids out of necessity, that's how it happens in the NBA. Guys get hurt, guys get a chance to step in, and they either show out when they step in, or they just are placeholder until the other guy comes back. That's how it happens in the NBA. All this stuff that we're talking about is hypothetical. Well, if he had more vets, he would have played the vets. He doesn't have more vets. This is who he has on his team right now. Why get mad over a guy because you think his mentality is something that you can't necessarily prove? Doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sorry, but I just disagree with you, Frank.
No. I mean, again, I love the fire, man. I understand. Again, we disagree, but I'm seeing issues from Tibbs that I find questionable. Again, I'm not.
I'm with you. I have a lot of stuff that's questionable as well.
Hey, Frank, I got a question for you. How many times do you watch the game?
Man, I watch almost every game. I'm here in LA, man.
I mean, how many times do you watch it?
Oh,
do you rewatch?
Man. I don't watch the game. I watch the game, the full game, and then I watch the highlights of every game after, for like the next 2 or 3 hours. I find every single highlight of every single part of the game, and I go back. Once in a while, I actually rewind the game and watch back critical times. And the Phoenix game, for example, I just couldn't help but watch that back and go, why was Fournier in that game? Why? I just got to find what it was. And I just still sometimes just can't understand why.
All right. Hey, Frank, I appreciate your time, man. Appreciate the debate. Hope you call back.
I love it, man. I love what you're doing. You're helping me out here in LA with all these Laker fans and fans around me. Mostly Laker fans.
I've been there. Trust me.
I can't even wear my Knicks jersey, I can't even, make fun of Westbrook.
Hey,
I'm like,
right. Yeah, I know. I mean, listen, the Lakers ain't that much better. They're probably not better at all. So, you know what I mean? Listen, let's put it like this. You always got this. The Lakers got a whole bunch of $40 million players over there. The Knicks don't have one $40 million player on their team. And, so the Knicks are in a much better situation than the Lakers are in.
True that. I'm going to use that one. That's a good one to use.
Yeah. Appreciate you, Frank.
All right,
have a good
guys, man. Keep it up. Peace.
I see people out there in the chat, talk about, let's just be honest. I mean, I'm asking you to be honest. That's what I'm asking. My man Nick from Jersey City, he sent me some stats about how many minutes the young guys have been playing. I'm gonna hold it in the chamber though until the end of the season until we get it. I'm gonna hold it in the chamber. You dig what I'm saying? And then, I'm gonna put the nuclearness to it, and I'm gonna just bomb everybody in the chat with it.
Hey, Sim, you had a super chat earlier, and I guess he made a mistake, but he commented, so I'm gonna highlight for you.
She, that's a girl.
Oh, excuse me.
Okay. New York Star J Fanatic, thank you for the super chat. You said messed up sending the super chat, but was going to say this will be a great experience for RJ. I'm sure he'll go over the film and just continue to go forward. Let's have Randle rest a couple more games. Great experience for RJ, and I want him to continue to get that experience too. You know what I mean? I know Randle was up running today, right? Trying to see if he can get his leg in order. He wasn't good enough to go tonight. We'll see what happens on Sunday. Sunday's an earlier game. It's like 5 o'clock, I believe. Right? So I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But New York Star, J Fanatic, thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate you. Appreciate you for sure. Let's hear from Immanuel Quickley and Miles McBride. We want to hear from the fan favorites. Let me take a little bit of heat off of us and listen to these guys. You know what I mean? Because, Tony, they don't watch. Everybody out here, they don't watch the game twice. They don't watch it twice. They saying all of this. They don't watch it twice. They watch it one time and fall asleep during it. Anyway, this is Immanuel Quickley. Maybe
all year, when their name's called, they're always ready. Ultimate pros. They're great player. They're great players, but they're even better people, off the floor. So it's always great to, not only be a great player, but have great people in the locker room. So they're really good people to be around.
What has changed so dramatically? I mean, you're down double digits most of the game, and then you guys put that run together.
Yeah, it's a game of runs. When you get stops and then get out and run, and you're playing fast and playing free, I feel like, that's where we're at our advantage. So we just stuck with it. I think that was the biggest thing, sticking with it, our grit, our toughness. I think we've shown that a lot this year, being able to come back large deficits. So we'd rather play from a lead, but if we're down, we try not to panic and, just try to find our way out of it.
Honestly, just feeding off each other's energy. We're never going to quit on each other, and we're never going to quit on the game. So it was just feeding off each other's energy and just trying to make as many plays as we could to bring us back.
Miles, that play where you kind of closed out on Lowry and you end up getting the steal and the fast break bucket, can you just take me through what you're thinking throughout that play?
One where I got the fast break?
Yeah. When you were against, you took the ball from Lowry, it was 4 minutes left, maybe you blacked out during it?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's just going off instinct, just whatever I'm seeing, just trying to make plays, and, you know, it was one-on-one fast break and make a play, honestly. Simple.
You haven't, I mean, if you played in the G League a lot this year and you haven't gotten a ton of NBA experience, where does your confidence come from? I mean, that's an all-star, all-NBA caliber guy. Where does your confidence come from to be able to go at a guy to that level in an important situation like that?
Honestly, it's in my DNA. I put in a lot of work to get here. I believe in myself to the fullest, as well as the people around me. They're always supporting me and having my back. Coaching staff has been great. They've told me to keep working, keep pushing, and as well as the vets and even the other young guys, just always stay in it.
It was an interesting.
All right, let me stop that right there. You know, we already heard from Tom Thibodeau. You heard him, right? You heard him. He ain't mad. He ain't as mad as some of us are, you know. And the coaching staff is telling him, stay in it, stay with it. You know what I mean? Your time will come, and you know that's exactly what young guys want to hear, and they want to be able to believe that their time is going to come. And then you get games like this where their time comes, and say what you want to say. That was a big game for the Miami Heat. And for the New York Knicks, it's not necessarily a huge basketball game, right? Because of where they are in the standings, et cetera, et cetera. But if in that locker room, if their mindset is still, hey, we're fighting for it, we're going to go down swinging, then in their mind, it's a big game. You understand what I'm saying? And, that's the only thing that matters, what's in their mind. And if in their mind it's a big game, and they went out and pulled it out in a big game, that's even more kudos to the young guys. You know what I'm saying?
Sim, but this also goes to show you, because these narratives out there on Knick Twitter and the Knicks universe, right, is that Randle and Tibbs are sabotaging the team, that the team is totally against them, that that the kids can't look up to these people for leadership. But you hearing it in the press conferences, they're telling you what's going on. And people are still coming up with these narratives saying that, there's some sort of, rift between Tibbs and the younger players because they're not playing and all this stuff. They're telling you what the deal is. RJ is telling you that he's becoming more aggressive and he's developing under Tibbs. He's telling you that. I was at the game watching how they interact with each other on the bench. No one's mad at Julius on the bench. No one's like looking at Julius with his head down or whatever saying, Julius, pay attention. Like they respect Julius. So all this stuff about, everything that's going on, I just think people need to quit with the false narratives. My opinion.
I mean, listen, man. I'm just glad that the Knicks won, and I'm glad that the young guys got a chance to really play down the stretch and playing the clutch, where when they did bring some other people in, it was Obi and it was RJ, and there were young guys that got a chance to pull this basketball game out. That's what I'm glad about. And people are going to argue and say you should have did this or did that. This guy should have been playing more minutes. That guy should have been playing more minutes. I'm just glad that tonight they pulled this game out. Because I don't think, listen, the Knicks season is what it is. And honestly, I don't see a way that this season got better. Unless Randle, shot better from the field and didn't go through the things that he went through. That's the way that I see this season would have been better, for real. You know what I'm saying? And having a point guard out there. Those things were really, really key to this season. We are where we are. Now we're developing for next season. These young guys got a chance to play down the stretch and win a basketball game, and they pulled it out against the top team in the Eastern Conference. You know what I'm saying? They got to prove to themselves that they can play in the NBA, that they can be participant on a team in the NBA. If you believe that this young group is going to go out there and do that every single game, then you're fooling yourself. They're not. I'm sorry. All right, so I'm just celebrating that they did it now. I don't want to put so much on them where now they're bogged down. Just let them play and be free out there and learn as they go, because that responsibility is going to come. And you don't want that responsibility to come too soon for some of them. For RJ, it's coming next year. All right, so he's going to be ready to step into it. But you know what? He's been one of the keys of the team for 3 seasons. So he's already being groomed for it. Some of these guys are just getting here. They're just stepping their foot in the NBA. They might still live with their mother and their father. RJ got his own place. I seen, when he went shopping with his mom and, I seen all of that. But some of them might still. Shoot, I think Obi Toppin lives down the street from his mom's for real. So, I mean, let these guys.
But he got 2 kids, though, Sim.
I know. I mean, he's 24 years old anyway. Obi's 24 years old anyway. You know what I mean? But we just got to let some of these guys get the Similac off their breath. Let them get the teeth out their mom's mouth. You know what I'm saying? Before we give them all this responsibility. Let them come along slowly. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. I'm proud of what they did tonight. I'm really proud. I'm sitting there like a proud dad watching the game tonight.
Sim, one last thing I'll say. A lot of people expected the Knicks to be more of a win-now team this year. The Knicks are 27th in the NBA in payroll. This is rebuilding. This is what rebuilding is about. I get people, as Knicks fans, we look at all these games and the games that we could have won, and we know that we're better than what the record shows, but this team is not built to win now. That's coming later. Right now, this is all about rebuilding, and that's exactly what's happening right now.
Yeah. J Money, I did say that backwards, didn't I? I said let them get their teeth out their mom's mouth. Let them get their mom's teeth out their mouth. I said it backwards. My bad. Let me get to the caller. Caller, you live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
What up, Simmons? And you from Iowa?
Hey, you. What's going on, man?
Nothing much. I just wanted to call in and say, I'm really proud of IQ, man, because, like a couple weeks ago when I called in, I've been on the IQ train, man. And Tony, don't think we forgot, okay? Don't think we forgot. You wanted Deuce to take IQ's spot, okay? Don't think we forgot.
You mean Grimes?
Grimes. I think maybe Grimes.
Oh yeah, it was Grimes. There was Grimes. Yeah, Grimes is a cool player, but IQ, man, I don't know about you guys, but if next year we don't get like a solidified point guard, he's my point guard next year. I don't give a damn. I'm not starting Alec Burks next year if we don't get a point guard. I'm starting IQ. That's who I'm starting.
Hey, my man, in my defense, I also said I wanted IQ to start instead of Burks.
Okay. And,
I was just
my
mad.
second point was
I was mad during.
Can we please stop with the?
Go ahead, AU. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Well, my second point was can we please stop with this Julius? We're spreading fake narratives about Julius. He's just not part of the plan, man. This is RJ's team. Just give RJ the keys and just get Julius out of here. Please get him out of here. Oh man, I can't wait until he's off the team, man. Do you see the kind of brand of basketball we're playing right now? This is fun basketball. We're moving the ball around. We're having fun. The kids are hooping. If I don't want to be that guy, but if Randle was in this game, we're getting blown out. Simple as that. I can't prove it.
You can't prove it.
In my opinion, if Randle was playing, we would be losing.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing.
How you say stop the fake narratives and they give a fake narrative?
Right. I mean, listen. You can't prove it. We've seen games where the Knicks have played very well offensively with Randle on the floor. We've seen games where they did it without him on the floor. We've seen games where without him on the floor they scored 80 points. We've seen games where with Randle on the floor they scored 80 points. I mean, we've seen it all different ways. I mean, if you don't like him, cool, I get that. You know what I'm saying? But he's not the bottom line. I do agree that if he shot better this season, his attitude sucks right now. I agree. If he shot better this season, he was, better percentage from the floor, the Knicks would be better. All right? But I also am one that me, and people can throw tomatoes all they want, I still feel like he's growing up here as a person and figuring out how to be a number. People think because he's been in the league for 7 years, he's been a number one or trying to be a number one the whole time he's been in the league. He hasn't. He just learned that not last year, but barely the year before. So last year was really his first time actually being that guy because Marcus Morris was that guy for the Knicks the season before that. So he's learning as well. Just like we look at RJ and say he got a taste of it, he's got to learn how to adapt to this, that, and the third. Well, Randle hasn't been that guy for the most of his career. He hasn't. And people also say he's been
27.
But listen what I'm saying to you. Just because, do you stop learning at 27?
No, my thing is, he can go learn somewhere else. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Give
cool.
him the keys.
Okay. Cool. But that's cool. You want him to go someplace else. I get, and most people do. I understand all of that. You know what I'm saying? But what's going to happen with RJ? It's going to be the same exact thing. If he goes through these kind of struggles, now RJ's not going to have the attitude. I know that. You can look at RJ's demeanor. I can't say I know that. You're right, Tony. You're right. I can't say I know that because we haven't seen him with that kind of pressure. I don't think he's going to have that kind of attitude, right? So I can't say I know for sure. I don't think. But he's going to go through a lot of the same struggles. I can guarantee he goes through a lot of the same struggles. When it's his team and he's the guy, he's going to go through a lot of the same struggles, and there's going to be people, maybe not you, but there's going to be people that say, get his ass out of here. I see it already.
I'm cool with that because he's 21. He's still growing. I'm cool with that. But Julius is he's hitting 30.
He just don't like Julius.
I know.
That's what it comes down to.
I know. I mean,
it's all favoritism.
Listen, DeMar DeRozan. Everybody loves DeMar DeRozan. If DeMar DeRozan was here when he was growing and learning to be the guy that he was when he was 27 years old, everyone would have said kick his ass off the team. I guarantee you, because DeMar DeRozan was not as good as he is now at that point. People always spread the narrative. They say, "Oh, Julius Randle's been inefficient his whole life," which is untrue. His average coming into this season was 48% from the field. That was his average coming into this season. He hasn't been a good three-point shooter, but people spread that narrative, say, he's always been inefficient, or he's always been this guy, that guy, when most people didn't even pay attention to him before he came to the Knicks, including myself. I'm not even going to lie.
He was on the Pelicans.
Including myself. You know what I'm saying? All I did is see some things he did here and there. I'm not going to lie to you. All I did is go back and look at some of his stats, watch some of his games, see how he played. But most people just throw a bad rap at him because of things that they see right now and say he was like that his whole career, and he wasn't. But what people don't recognize is that he's also learning and growing how to accept some of the things that he has now. He may not be doing a good job at it emotionally. Is not doing a good job at it emotionally. How can you deny that? He's not. But he's still a guy who, in my opinion, is learning and growing. You don't stop learning and growing, especially emotionally and mentally, at 27 years old. 27 years old, you're just entering your prime.
True. Can I ask you guys a quick question real quick?
Yeah.
Why do you think the front office is nurturing him so much? Because aren't they paying for all of his fines and stuff? Why do you think that? Because I remember last year when Pascal Siakam was acting out, the Raptors fined him. They literally fined him. But the Knicks, we can't fine Julius. We have to pay his fine for him. We have to baby him. What's the point of that?
Well, I don't know how many of the fines. I know of one fine that they paid for him. I don't know how many fines they paid for him. I know they paid the first fine he got this year or something like that. He's racked up like $130,000 in fines. I think they paid the first one. I'm not sure about the next ones. I can't comment on whether or not.
And the difference is Pascal Siakam left the bench during the game, and he got fined for conduct detrimental to the team. Randle didn't do anything like that. Randle just didn't answer the media, and that's why he got fined. Two totally different things. You can't compare something if you don't know what you're talking about. Don't compare the two. Don't compare the two.
Bro, trust me, Julius would do some hard head stuff like that.
But he did not do that.
He got that angry.
But he didn't.
Listen. Are they babying him? Have they not held him accountable? Maybe not. I don't know. I can't tell you what's going on in the locker room, right? If you're talking about on the basketball court, that's the only thing that I can tell you from what I see on television, right? On the basketball court, has Tom Thibodeau always held him accountable? No. I don't think so. I don't think so. Here and there, maybe he's, sat him, I think maybe there's 1 or 2 games throughout the season where he didn't play in the fourth quarter, but I don't know if he's always been held accountable on the basketball court. As far as what's going on in the locker room and stuff like that, I can't comment on that because I don't know. All I can tell you is what I seen on the court.
I'll just close out by saying this. I'm cool with Tibbs. We can keep Tibbs for next year. But please, just get this man, Randle, off this team as soon as possible.
Okay.
Peace and love.
All right. Peace. You know what is funny, too, to me, is there's always a narrative that everybody runs with, about either one player, not just Julius Randle, but any player, RJ Barrett, there's stuff about him that people just run with. You got there's a contingent of people, trust me, believe it or not, that want him traded, want him gone. You know what I'm saying? I see it all the time, and they say because, we just know he's not going to be a star. And so, that group runs with it. And if RJ plays bad, that group's going to get louder. You know what I'm saying? There's always going to be that contingent of people that just run with a narrative. And if you don't agree with that narrative,
Sim, I have to answer this. I have to answer these guys. So BBallerFR and Blue Hefner are saying that the Knicks are built to win now. And one of the reasons why they said that is because we made the 4th seed last year and we acquired Kemba and Nerlens Noel in the offseason. So that means that we're not rebuilding and that this team is currently meant to win now. Nonsense. 27th in the league in payroll. The Knicks are not. They don't have one max contract on the roster. How are they built to win now? Look at Kemba's contract. Look at Nerlens Noel contract. Less than $10 million. These are the guys you're hanging your hat on talking about we're a win-now team? I mean, it's just nonsense. And I understand it because the Knicks haven't, we haven't made the playoffs in a long time, and we haven't had this amount of assets and young kids in a while. So you legitimately just don't know. So that's why I'm here to educate you. The Knicks are not winning now. They're in a rebuild stage, right? And they're continuing to grow and develop players. You may not like how they're doing it, but that's exactly what they're doing. And the front office told us they were doing this, and this is exactly what they're doing.
I don't know, though, Josh. I think some parts of the team was expected to win now this season. Not win the championship. Not win the championship now. I don't think they were expected to win the championship, but they were expecting to make the playoffs. And that's winning right now. That's winning right now. I mean, there's levels to winning. You can make the playoffs and still rebuild.
You can make the playoffs and still rebuild, though.
But see, rebuild to me is something. I feel like rebuilding is different. Building and rebuilding, I think, is different. I think they're still building. I think a rebuild is different. A rebuild is when you break it all the way down and then you start from the bottom. So, like, for example, for me, a rebuild would be them saying, we ain't doing it with Julius. We're not doing it with Fournier. We're going to get every single one of these vets off the team, and we're going to start all the way down at the bottom, and we're going to take and say RJ is the nucleus and go up from there. A build, to me, like right now, so I feel like they started rebuilding a couple of years ago. And they're still part, this is still part of them building. Doesn't mean that they got to be a championship level team, but I think they expect it to be above 500 this season. That's not a rebuild to me. That's not a rebuild. To me, you're building. A rebuild, you only start the rebuild once. I don't think you're ever in the middle. I don't feel like you're in the middle of a rebuild, right? Because if you're rebuilding, that means you break it down and then you start to build it. Now you're building. You understand what I'm saying? Because a rebuild, like, how do you rebuild how do you rebuild every year? You don't keep rebuilding every year. You're just in the middle of building it now, but you rebuild when you break it down. You break it down to nothing. Now you start putting the pieces together.
Well, Sim, I think this is a semantics, right? They're technically not rebuilding because they already rebuilt 3 years ago. But the point that I'm trying to make, and the greater point that I'm trying to make, is we're in the process of building something. The Knicks are not in a win now mode. Not with the amount of payroll that they have, not with the type of contracts that they have on the roster. The Knicks, I think they did expect to probably try to win some games this season and try to make the playoffs. But if you look at our payroll, it's not.
But
that's not a reality.
I
think the expectations were false coming into the season off of that 4th seed. I think people need to accept that part.
But does the payroll necessarily signify? I mean, because look at the Memphis Grizzlies; they don't have a bunch of guys getting max contracts.
Correct. Right? And that's why it's a surprise.
But they're winning now.
No one expected Memphis to be there, though. That's what I'm saying.
But you go into
were different.
But you go into next season, I guarantee you they'll win now, regardless of what their salary is. They'll win now. Right,
Memphis Grizzlies are not going to be a top 2 seed in the Western Conference next year.
But
I bet you they try to build upon it though.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's a process. It's a process. They're still a part of that process.
No, when I say that, I mean they're going to make some win now moves based off of their success this year. That process is not going to get sped up. They're not going to be like, oh well, we still got years and years of this with Ja and JJ, you know what I mean? They're gonna probably go and try to get some vets and some guys that'll kind of try to push them over the edge. Well, I don't know if they'll be successful, but they're gonna make some win now moves.
And I get that. I just don't think the Knicks did that in this offseason. I think we went out to get Fournier. Well, first of all, we had to spend the money. Right, because the last season we were barely at the salary cap floor, and we were struggling to hit the salary cap floor last season. In the offseason, we had the most amount of cap space, and we had to go out and sign players. And for the most part, we brought back majority of the people from last season, add Fournier and add Kimba. You know what I'm saying? So that's not winning now. I mean, I get what you're saying, Sim. Like, I think the Knicks are still in that process, but to me, the Knicks aren't winning now. Like, you're gonna get to the playoffs, probably losing the first round. Yeah, I mean, that's not win now, in my opinion. That's not like this team must make the playoffs.
I guess it depends on. What you expect. When, like you said, what is win now? If you're saying win now is we're trying to win, we're trying to be, we think we're going to be top of the East, or win now means hey, we're really trying to make the playoffs. So we're going to put together a team that we think can make the playoffs. You still.
And that's what the Knicks are trying to do. The Knicks are trying to do that right now.
But there are teams that are not trying to make the playoffs that are just like, we're in the draft trying to collect some talent. We're not worried about the playoffs. That's a team that's not trying to win right now. To me, if you're trying to win right now, you may not. There's levels to trying to win. If you're trying to make the playoffs, I think you're trying to win.
I think win now moves. I think that's going for it all. That's going for the chip. I don't think the Knicks were looking to win now. Like, I don't think they was saying, all right, let's put all our chips in this one basket. Even with re-signing everybody, I think that was a logical plan, saying, let's see what we can build, if we could grow and build off of what we did last year and try to improve. But I don't think, in their mind at all, they was like, all right, we can win it all.
Get back to the 4th seed. Or get back to the 4th seed.
Or even the 4th seed. I think they were saying maybe we could put on a run like the Hawks did. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Maybe we could do something like that and surprise some teams and get a little deeper than expected. But win now. I think even with that, I think they were putting themselves in position to maybe even make a bigger move. With some of these assets, and then
I don't think at all that they thought they were a championship contender team. I definitely think that they were that they figured they was going to make the playoffs. Championship contender, not at all. I think that they thought that they were going to be somewhere between 4th and 8th seed. You know what I'm saying? So I guess it considers, what do you consider win now? We're building. You know what I mean? And we're building where we have. We don't have a lot of crazy, wild contracts. Julius Randle is the highest paid player. Next year, he'll be the highest paid player at $26 million. That's not bad. Regardless if you like him or not, that's not bad. $26 million, that's not bad. If RJ gets his money, the year after that, he'd be the highest paid player at 30-something million if he gets maxed out. You know what I'm saying? Now you're starting to get into a different realm.
Right.
You start paying a guy $30 million, I think. $30 million, between $30 and $40 million, or a contract that extends out to $40 million, I think you enter into a different realm. And now it's like, we paying this kind of money. We got to make sure we get, we got to get a team around this guy. Or with this guy. Don't have to be around him, but with this guy. You know what I mean? Let me recognize a super chat real quick. Centeno Jose. He said, Sim keeps me on hold forever. You're wasting my unlimited minutes, not to mention I can't get back in the panel. The phone lines, ain't nobody calling in right now. I'm looking at the phone line. So I don't know. And sometimes, you call in and someone else is already on the line, so it keeps you on hold. Sometimes you just got to wait it out. Just like these rookies, these young guys had to wait it out so they could get on the floor. Sometimes you got to be patient enough to wait it out, and then you get your chance to shine. But I appreciate you, Jose. Thank you for the super chat, and hopefully I get to get you on the line and talk to you, my man. Appreciate you. Looks like we got Savvy D in the building. He was at the game tonight. You know what I mean? And I'm not sure if he's ready because I don't see his camera on. So as soon as I see his camera on, oh, there he is. We'll get him in the building. Savvy, what's going on, man?
I'm all right. How y'all doing?
Oh, man. I could tell he was at the game. Listen to him. You can tell he was at the game. Jeez. I'm doing all right, man.
Let's go. Let's go.
Exactly how I felt yesterday.
That's what I'm talking about. I guess you know where I've been tonight. I just want to say shout out to the chat, shout out to the panel, first of all, NYK for life, NBK all day.
My man.
Tonight was a night of glory.
Okay.
This is one of those nights, it's kind of like in life when you're working on things, when you're really, practicing and applying yourself towards certain goals. Maybe you're working out in the gym. Maybe you've been boxing, you've been doing some UFC fighting, and you've been working on little adjustments, little things that you work out and muscles that you develop. And then one day it just comes in handy. And you start to notice that you're becoming more fit and more used to it. I feel like the stars align sometimes in life when you're working on things and putting the effort in and exploring your options and sharpening your sword. And tonight, what we saw was an alignment of multiple people firing on all pistons in some way, shape, or form that we've needed them to all season.
Okay.
Tom Thibodeau, for all the flack that I've given him for the way that I don't like that he coaches sometimes, I give him his respect for what he's done. But he made some very timely timeout calls tonight. And that's usually either one or two on my list of complaints about him. Sometimes a lead will just balloon and he'll call a timeout and it's too late. But he put guys together that could control the situation that we found ourselves in every time. Jericho Sims looks like in a couple of years he's going to be a great player. He can defend and trap and work together, and he's not there yet, but I see the tendencies he has that he does well. He fights for rebounds, and he wins some of those fights, and he can switch and play in the pick and roll defense. And it's just like seeing it in person is glorious, especially when you're like me and you're down here and you're surrounded by a bunch of smug and self-assured Heat fans. Some of them are real cool. Some of them I love. But the certainty that they would come into that arena tonight and defeat the New York Knicks, the guys who our young guys don't care what your plans are for this night. We came to ruin your night. RJ Barrett got trapped and he was still making plays. Him and Jericho have a little thing going on. I'm not afraid about Jericho's future. Immanuel Quickley is learning to score over defenders, okay, and really slow things down and analyze where he has to attack. Obi Toppin is hitting three-point shots. Quentin Grimes is back. And it's all happening on the same night against a team we haven't beaten in such a long time, my brother. How many excruciating, painful nights have we endured? I went to this same arena a month and a half ago on my birthday, and we got annihilated. And I stayed every single second to the last buzzer of that game rooting my team on. Tonight, there was 30 seconds, 45 seconds, almost a minute left of this game. And you look around at the certainty just leave people's bodies. And they start to walk out of the arena.
I hear you. Hey, Sav, let me ask you, how many drinks you have in at FTX Arena tonight?
Just one. Just one at the beginning of the night. Because I do have to, I do have to handle some business tomorrow.
Okay.
But what I've done is I've lost my voice. I'm writing
He's high
energy.
of life.
Okay. I hope so. That's what's up. Let me get to the super chat real quick. Robert McFall, thank you for the super chat, man. He said, I wish I was able to keep our coaching staff together. I wish we was able to keep our coaching staff together. We need to improve this coaching staff right now so this team can get better. We are learning. Savvy was just talking about, Tom Thibodeau and the substitution patterns and timeout patterns and things like that. Do you have, knowing that we lost Mike Woodson, now we lost Kenny Payne, Tony, do you have any concerns about the coaching staff going into next year?
My concerns, honestly, I would have to say would be for Randle more than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what Woodson's relationship was with him, but I think Woodson kind of affected the other guys more so. But Kenny Payne, I think that's a loss for Randle. And I think maybe we'll see Tibbs actually be a little tougher on him. You know what I mean? With Payne not there. Maybe that was Payne's job. You know what I mean? With the relationship they have, he could kind of talk to him maybe in a different manner than the Tibbs would or could or felt comfortable. So maybe this opens the door for, a little pow here and there when it's deserved.
Yeah. The only thing I would say to that is I think it gets hard to, if you haven't given that kind of, that kind of accountability, I think it's hard to do it later on. You got to start with it, and then, maybe you can loosen up a little bit. And I'm not going to sit here and just say he hasn't done it. You know what I mean? Because we don't know what's going on in the locker room or anything like that. So I'm not going to say he hasn't done it. The only thing I would say is on the court, we've all seen, Randle's having a bad night, but he doesn't sit. Or he doesn't get taken out, and play less minutes or, things like that. We've all seen that. You know what I'm saying? Where Obi makes a little mistake, boom, he's gone. You know what I'm saying? But RJ, RJ is kind of in the middle. You know what I'm saying? He's kind of in the middle. Tibbs gives him a little bit freedom, but he'll bark at him a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I've seen him bark at Randle like that. So I think it's hard to do it after if you didn't start off doing it that way. I think it's hard to now start doing it that way because you haven't developed, you got to, in my opinion, you got to develop that respect right from the beginning. Because then if you start to do it, now the player's like, what's this?
Changed up on me.
Yeah, he changed up on me. Well, what's going on? What's this? So, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I would like to see some good veteran coaches come in, one or two good veteran coaches, who've been around the league for a while, who understand how to relate to players. I know people talk about Johnny Bryant, but, I don't know much about how good of a coach he is or isn't because I haven't seen him coach a team. You know what I mean?
Remember, Tibbs wasn't allowed to bring his guys in, so maybe that opens the door for one or two of his guys.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? But I do think we need, we got to have it's not that many guys in the league that's Mike Woodson, right? But I think you need a Mike Woodson type of guy because I think he's the kind of guy that relates to the Julius Randles on the team. I think he knows how to do it. I don't know where you find him, or who's out there, but I think you need one of those guys that just has that type of presence on the team. You know what I mean? Because I do feel like missing Mike Woodson hurt the team, and we'll see what happens with Kenny Payne. You know what I mean? Savvy, what's your thoughts on it, man? Coaching staff. You concerned about it for next year?
No, I'm not concerned about it. I think that what we have going is something that, if nothing else, at least we can see the progress over time that they're able to make. I think, if anything, what we can do is just add somebody. It doesn't have to be like it'd be great to have a veteran coach who is, has a good resume. But even if we bring in some fresh, just like fine-tuning oriented coaches that can just help players make the small adjustments that they need, I think we'll be all right. Like what we have going, it hurt to lose Mike Woodson. Mm-hmm. It hurt to lose every, assistant coach that we've lost over the years. But having this continuity that we have already is going to be the main thing that serves us next season. So whatever we do will just be something that just adds to what is already working.
Okay. Well, in
some form.
What's your thoughts on that, Josh?
Well, I mean, listen, I think the Knicks, first of all, in regards to Kenny Payne and Mike Woodson, I think they always knew that they want to get to become head coaches again in Mike Woodson's case, and for Kenny Payne as the Knicks job as a stepping stone for him to become a head coach. So I didn't necessarily think that by hiring these coaches in the beginning of the season that they were going to be here, for the next 5 years, right? I do think this is an opportunity for Tibbs to bring in his people, his own guys in here to help him coach. And if the Knicks, if they are looking to possibly move on from Tibbs, I'm hoping they hire from within the organization already. So whatever culture we have, that we can continue to keep that there. But I'm not really concerned about the coaching staff. I think Tibbs will find his people, and the front office will come up with their people, and they'll get some other people in here to come in and help coach the team.
Okay. All right. Let me get to, first of all, AU, thank you for the super chat. He said, we did Obi a disservice not trading Randle. Listen, I'm going to say it again. If you're a baller, you're a baller. If you're a baller, you're a baller, man. Obi, I like Obi. He's got some things that he's got to learn. Bottom line, he's got some things that he's got to do. You watch him play, all of his points comes because somebody else creates it, which is okay for him. That's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? But that's what he is right now. Bottom line. Caller, you live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
Brandon from Brooklyn.
What's going on, Brandon? How you feeling, man?
I'm all right, man. I really wanted to call to talk about where we're going to move forward. I feel like we need to either trade Randle or fire Thibodeau for RJ and Toppin and Quickley for them boys to grow. And whoever we draft in the draft this year, in order for us to grow, we need to either trade Randle or fire Thibodeau.
Let me ask you this. Why is it either or? Why is it trade Randle and then you can keep Tibbs, or keep Randle, then you can trade Tibbs? Why is it either or?
Because, like you was referencing, it seems like he allows Randle to get away with things that he doesn't let other players get away with.
Okay.
And I feel like a new coach, a fresh voice, would give other players a chance to rise to the top. But I really feel like it's time to trade Randle. That's just me.
Okay. All right. And so, so you trade Randle, you keep Tibbs, and then what would you be expecting from Tibbs at that point? I mean, obviously, if you trade Randle, you're expecting to, you would be expecting to hopefully you bringing back a point guard, a point guard that, a good point guard, hopefully. But what would you be expecting from Tibbs? Obviously the lineup is going to look and be a little bit different. It's going to change. What would you be expecting from him?
He'll be on the hot seat. So I expect more player development. Like we've been preaching, they've been preaching from the beginning. beginning. Like, I need to see more player development. If the players are not developing, he has to go. And then that's you kill two birds with one stone.
So you don't think tonight showed player development?
Yeah, I mean, but I don't know, man. I'm sick of both of them. Tibbs and Randle, they gotta go. They gotta get out.
All right, I hear you, bro. I hear you. You just sick of them dudes. I hear you.
Them, man.
All right. Hey, Brandon, appreciate it, man. Appreciate your call.
All right.
All right. I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, tonight.
I was waiting for it.
I mean, tonight definitely showed development. I mean, listen. I mean, that's what it is. We all know people are tired of Tibbs, tired of Randle. I can tell you what. If you go on with Tibbs, listen. I don't care if the Knicks are gonna break down the team. Break it down. I'm gonna rock with you anyway. It don't matter to me. I just want to see the Knicks win. So if they got to break down the team to do that, do it. I don't think it's coming this summer. Yeah, I think, you guys are going to have to hold on for one more year to see what happens. That's just what I think. I know people don't want to hear it, but I'm pretty sure y'all be watching the Knicks next year, even if, you know what I'm saying? And we'll be here so you can let it out. You can call in, you can spout it out, you can jump in the chats, you can let it all out. You can say everything you got to say, you know what I mean? So you're not kicking your dog. You dig what I'm saying? So, we'll be here for you because I think Randle and Tibbs are going to be here next year. I wouldn't put it past the front office to move him if they don't think his attitude is going to change. I think they can live with the bad play and because even this year, his 41% from the field is an outlier from every other year, right? He's never shot that low. He's had some years where he shot 50% from the field. He's had some years where he shot 47, 48. Even last year, he was 46%. The year before that, 1920, he was 46% from the field. He just couldn't hit a three, right? He's never been at 41%. So I think his shooting percentage will go up. His attitude, will that change? And they've got to figure that out. Because, in the beginning of the season, I was like, maybe there's some stress. I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. But as things went on, it's just like, come on, dude, you bugging out. Every chance you get, you bugging out. You know what I'm saying? So, the attitude has got to change. In the front office, from so far, it feels like this front office wants to have good character people in the organization. You know what I'm saying? And his attitude look, I'm all for having a little bit of attitude on the court, taking it out on the opposing team. I'm not talking about fighting and stuff like that, but just, being physical, being aggressive, showing some emotion and some anger, you know what I mean? But some of the antics got to go. You can't. And I'm not sure the front office is happy with it. And they may be looking to say, if he can't change this, we got to rock. So I'm pretty sure in their exit interview, they're going to sit down and they're going to talk about the attitude that he's shown this season and whether or not, and try to figure out where do we go from there. They'll probably talk with Tom Thibodeau about it, the front office. I'm sure they might even go back to Kenny Payne and say, hey, let's talk about this. We just need your help on this situation. You know what I mean? And if they don't feel like they can get it together, he could be moved. I don't know. What do you think, Tony?
About the caller in general?
No, just Randle and his behavior. And how the front office might address it in the offseason.
To me, that's the biggest thing right now. Even I had a moment, the biggest Randle supporter, where I'm like, yo, if that part doesn't change, I'm with the other side now. But I also realized that he's been that guy. I think it got a pass last year because we were winning, but he had some emotional outbursts and what I said, when you're winning, it's passionate, and then when you're losing, it's emotional.
Yeah,
it's
but I think there are times where he kind of went. I think he went a little bit high. He did more this year with that. Way more.
I agree. I also think the media has got to him this year.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So
the fans.
and well, the fans, the media, the podcasts, all we, you know what I mean, all of us. I think like Tib said, and you know, it seeped into the locker room, and it obviously affected him. I'm not saying that is, that is the reason, because I think that started because he was playing bad.
Right.
But you know, it was still guys from year one where he got killed that, you know, that kind of was holding all that back for a year. You know, keep this in my back.
That's without a doubt. Without a doubt.
And you know, all that just exploded. But I think you hit the nail on the head, man. I think shooting percentage is an outlier. He's never shot this bad. I don't expect it to continue. We watched him improve from the first year, the bad year, and come back and give his best year ever, right, of his career.
Right.
Why is that not possible to happen again? Why can't he learn from this turmoil? I think it not only individually it builds character for him, but I think the team will be better based off of the struggles. So I'm not worried. I think we still in a good spot. And worst case scenario, all that money comes off the book. We're gonna have to fix something after next year anyway. Like we're gonna have decisions to make. So we got another year of this.
Right. Josh, and then I'm gonna come to the caller, and then I'll come back over to Savvy. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think it has seeped in the locker room with Julius Randle, but I think, like I mentioned earlier, the team and his teammates still support him. I think the coach still supports him. So I think the organization still supports him, right? And you know, I think, you know, they realize that Randle has to, you know, bring his emotions in check. But, you know, I just think, you know, people are making that too much of a big deal out of it, in my opinion. I don't think it's really affecting them as far as wins and losses. Maybe you can argue the Phoenix game. If he doesn't get kicked out the game, the Knicks will potentially win that game. But most of the stuff that Julius Randle does when, you know, the game is already out of hand, we already lost the game at the end and stuff like that, I'm not really feeding into it as much. I know he definitely has to work on it for himself, for his own personal development. But as far as the team is concerned, I think they still support him and they have his back. And, you know, I think, like you said, Sam, the organization is going to mention it to him. But that's just something he has to get and grow from personally. So.
Yeah. All right. Caller, you on the line? Name and where you're from, please.
This is BBaller Forever. What's up? Josh, I know you was talking about me.
BBaller, what's
going on? We'll get to that another day.
What's going on?
What's up, man?
What's going on with you? What's going on with you?
Nothing much. All right, so I see that now we're talking about Julius Randle. So I want to talk about Julius Randle and why I feel the way I feel about Julius Randle. Since the beginning of the season and 2 seasons ago, we got to look back at last season, because last season he balled out. But if we look at it back 2 seasons ago, but before that he came from the Pelicans, and before that he came from the Lakers, and he was a mediocre player back then, right? We got him, and he was a mediocre player today when he first got on our team. We saw that a switch was flipped with him, and he was able to recognize, like, this is a personality thing. We saw the switch was flipped, and he was able to recognize the game and ball out within the team. The problem that we have now is once he got his contract and once he got his commercials, we were chanting MVP for this guy all season.
Mm-hmm.
He got his contract, he got his commercials, and in this season, the fans didn't do anything. He just didn't ball. He didn't live up to it. He decided to give the attitude. He decided to fight with the officials. He decided to look off his teammates. Like, for instance, a couple of games ago when I watched Deuce. Deuce only played 8 minutes a game. Deuce come in the game. He's over on the 3-point line in the corner, and Randle dribbles the ball up, and he's waving him out of the way. And Deuce finally gets out of the way, and Randle throws the ball across the court, and he just stares and gives him a bad look. That's a bad look to give the guy who's a rookie who only gets 8 minutes. But you can't change these things. Once a player goes from bad to good,
can I jump in here for a minute? Because
sure.
You know, this is exactly what Tom Thibodeau said, right? You look at one thing and you want to spotlight that, and I don't know if this was the same game, but Jericho Sims was trying to pass the ball to Julius Randle, and he stepped in bounds and turned the ball over, right? And he goes up to him and says, "Hey, don't worry about it, da-da-da-da-da," and boom. right? But see, like no one ever looks at it with balance. That's why I try to look at things with balance. Everyone looks at all the negative, never tries to look at things that are positive, because we've literally seen times where Julius Randle did not shoot the ball, and people are like, you have to shoot it, stop passing it.
Sam, he's been in the league how long? Sam, Randle's a vet now. Randle know better.
We did that.
He's playing amongst kids.
But this is the thing. This is the thing. People always
his role is different.
See, this is like, this is where we hear, like, we talked about RJ yesterday, right? Or whenever it was, the other day, and everyone said he's getting better every year, right? And I didn't bring it up at the time, right? Because I wanted to focus on RJ Barrett. I didn't want to get into a discussion about Julius Randle, right? But you say Julius Randle was a bum then. I look at it and say he was progressing and getting better every year.
And that's fair.
Right?
That's totally fair, absolutely.
But listen, he was getting better every year. But he never was a focal player. He was never even a primary player until he got to the Pelicans. And then he comes to the New York Knicks and he becomes a primary player. People want to say he's a vet. Right? People want to say he's a vet. He should be able to do this. He should be able to do that. But everything is about your position. If you take P.J. Tucker and say, now you're the primary player on your team, do you think he's going to be great at it? He's never done that. Although he's a vet in the league, he's never done that. It still takes...
But hold up.
Wait,
Julius Randle was the primary player on our squad last year, and he thrived.
No, listen to what I'm saying, though. Okay, I'm gonna take you there with me. So he's on the Pelicans. He's not the primary player. That's Anthony Davis. But he played a lot of good, significant minutes. He averaged 21 points a game. He comes to the New York Knicks. For half the season, Marcus Morris is the guy. After Marcus Morris is traded, he becomes the guy, right? He still got a lot of fire from the fans, because he turned the ball over a lot, right? And people wasn't happy with the way that he played. So now you got last year, where now he was actually the guy, and he balled out. So now you actually have a year, because last year, it took a while for people to say, hey, we got to really focus on Julius Randle. Now, this year, the spotlight is on Julius Randle. You don't think there's a learning curve there for him? Because it took a year for people to recognize that he can do whatever he did last year. Now you got a season. But hold up. But now you got a season.
But he doesn't look like he's willing to work his way out of that. He seems like the kind of guy that just forces.
But what I'm saying is,
tries to force a round peg into a square hole. He does not listen.
But what I'm saying is, you really can't tell that until you get to the next season. To see if he learned from that season, you got to take a season and look at its entirety. So you can go back, you get that break, you can refresh yourself, and you say, okay, let me look at myself. Let me see what I did. How can I get better? How can I grow? How can I develop? And then now let me bring this back to the season and see what I can do with it.
But given this season, the way it's developed, does he look like he's in a position to do that? He's fallen way back down to earth.
Listen, we don't know.
And I'm not just talking about his game. I'm talking about his attitude.
I know.
From beginning to end, every part about him has fallen off, and that's going to be really hard.
I understand about his attitude. To bring that back. I'm not sure. We don't know that. Because we don't know when we don't know that. First of all, we don't know what's going on outside of basketball, so I'm not even going to go there. Because I don't know anything about it, right? So I don't even want to touch on that, right? But we don't know if he's able to say, all right, let me look at what I did and come to grips with himself. It's hard to do that during the season when you got games and games and games and games and media and practice and shoot around and this and that. So you get this break. Let's see, can he look at himself and say, all right, I made some terrible mistakes. I did this, I did that. I got to come back better. Because it takes that offseason.
This is where personality comes into play, though. This is where personality comes into play. I can look at all the other vets who are washed up, from Kemba. Fournier's playing defense like garbage. He always has. Everybody's playing below where they should be, right? But their attitude is acceptable. If you were to sit there and tell me that Randle would be booing, giving the thumbs down to fans, and he would be sitting there, mean-mugging people and walking away and knocking laptops out of people's hands, dude, that is hard to come back from.
But what I'm saying is, right, everyone would have said his first season was hard to come back from, but he did.
He didn't have this attitude like this. Now he's playing bad and he has an attitude.
Hold on, but we don't know what he had in the locker room. Right, and I
not,
agree.
But we're seeing it.
But
Now
listen,
the fans are
I
seeing
agree.
it firsthand on television when
I
timeouts
agree
happen or
with
when the
you.
ref
I
calls
agree with
something
you.
on him.
I agree with you. But we seen him play bad in his first year, and he came back and played better. What makes you think that he can't make the adjustments to himself personally?
Well, but, again, so the bad play, I think he might be able to if he accepts that he's not the number one guy on the squad. If he accepts a role where he's like maybe the number one guy, but more of an equal of all parts kind of guy, we might get somewhere with him. I don't know if he can do that. But what I do know is when your attitude goes from MVP chants and love and New York, we back, he's shouting to the fans, and then the next season, from the jump, his attitude switched, and we're 70-something games in, and he hasn't adjusted one bit to it. Not one bit. He hasn't adjusted.
I beg to differ.
Fans were really light on him this season.
This season?
He got booed occasionally. They were light for the most part.
Fans were light on Julius Randle this season?
In the crowd, I'm talking about at MSG. Yes, they were. For what he was stinking it up.
We're not even talking about the crowd at MSG.
Well, I am, because that's the people that he has to watch. So that's the people that when he's playing in front of them. If he was,
but that's not the people. But that's not the people. But in my opinion, because I don't know, right? I'm not him, but that's not the people who he was directing the anger at.
Well, but again,
it's the people who
you're showing up. We just gave you a contract. You just came off of an MVP, MIP, most improved player, an All-Star. People chanting MVP, and this is the kind of season you have the next season. That's hard to come back from.
Listen, but you know what? I disagree that it's hard to come back from. Carmelo Anthony sat in Denver or wherever, OKC, and looked and said, "Yo, P, they said I got to come off the bench." Right? He came back and said, "You know what? I got to change myself and who I am and the way that I think." And he was able to do it. A guy like Allen Iverson wasn't able to accept it. So we don't know if Julius Randle can change the way that he approaches things next year. And
Allen Iverson.
Allen Iverson, right? Remember, Allen Iverson didn't want to come off the bench, and he had a lot of problems with it. And so
Allen Iverson had every reason not to come off the bench, though. Allen Iverson was an all-star for many years.
Not at the end, but later in his career, when he was asked to come off the bench, he couldn't accept it.
We're now using Allen Iverson as a comparison.
No, what I'm saying to you, I need you to listen.
Okay.
Well, I need you to listen. What I'm saying to you is Carmelo Anthony was able to change his perception of himself.
Not with the Knicks, he wasn't.
I'm not talking about. Listen to me. The Knicks never asked him to come off the bench. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about he was able to assess himself as a person and say, what do I need to do to change myself so I can have longevity in my career?
Well, I can tell you this. There was an interview with Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony said while he was on the Knicks, I'm not coming off the bench.
I'm not talking about the Knicks, bro. That's what I'm saying is this.
You said the Knicks never asked him to come off the bench.
Listen to what I'm saying.
He did not feel he was ever going to come off the bench.
Listen to what I'm saying. I'm saying this. He said at one point he wasn't coming off the bench. He said it. If he said it in New York, he said it in New York. Someone asked him. I'm not saying that the Knicks never asked him to come off the bench. A reporter asked him would he come off the bench. What I'm saying is, and if he said no, he said no. He went to OKC. He said no. He figured out that he had to reevaluate himself and who he was as a person and a player. And now he's okay with coming off the bench. So what I'm saying is, if he made that change, Allen Iverson didn't make that change. You see where Allen Iverson ended up at that point in his career, where he could have been a strong person coming off the bench for some team. That's the only comparison I'm talking about with Allen Iverson. So what I'm saying is, who is to say that Julius Randle cannot change himself and look at himself and say, I've got to do something? Who's to say that? You're assuming that he can't. But listen, you're assuming that he
had
can't.
Opportunities to this season, and he has not. And won't he
still has more opportunities to go.
He has opportunities. He has more. Listen, you're assuming that he can't. I'm assuming that there's a possibility that he can. That he can look at himself during an off season when you got 3 months to really look at yourself and figure out what you did and then come back, because it is very hard when you're in the heat of battle to do that.
What are you basing that on?
And the evidence already shows
I'm basing it on that he did it once. That's what I'm basing it on. In 1920, Nobody liked him. He wasn't a good player. They get him out of here. He changed that around last year. So now he comes back, different circumstances, different pressure on him. Doesn't play well, has a problem with the fans. Let's see if he can change it around again.
Last question before I go. All right. So now that we feel this way, and you actually believe he can switch it.
I said I don't know, but I said I don't know. No. I said I'm giving him the chance to. I said I'm giving him the chance to.
Let's assume he does. Is that the kind of volatile player you want on your roster with these kids? Somebody that ebbs and flows like that.
These are people. This is the NBA.
I don't care if it's people. They're basketball players, and we're made to evaluate them. That's what we're supposed to do.
I know. These are people. This is the NBA.
I don't care if they're
Go
people.
ask R.J. Barrett. I guarantee you R.J. Barrett wants him on the team.
Well, we don't know that. You can't say that for sure. Stop.
Have you heard R.J. Barrett talk about him?
In the
so
press
what, man? They all Evan Fournier said you can't say that definitively that he definitely wants him on the team.
I said go ask him. But have you? I can only base it on what I heard R.J. Barrett say himself. I can only base it on what I heard come out of R.J. Barrett's mouth.
Okay.
That's all I can base it on. What I heard come out of his mouth. So I can only base it on that. And everything that I've heard from R.J. Barrett has been positive. Because he could easily just say, he could easily be like, I'm not going to answer that question. I don't want to talk about it.
Because how would that make that really? Right. You expect him to answer it that way?
Because he's came to the man's defense and said, I see him go out every single night and do 20 and 10. I put my faith in this man because I see what he does and I know what he does in practice in the locker room. He's brought that out himself.
All right, but he also gets technical fouls, argues with the refs. He doesn't play defense. He leaves his man on the island. I got you. They're not going to say that.
But see, this is my point. You act like other people on the team don't do that.
Most of
come on now. We seen the Miami Heat tonight, where in the first half a wide open dunk under the basket, and it was R.J. Barrett's fault. And I'm not blaming R.J. for anything. It was his fault. We've seen it through every player on this team that's getting minutes. The same exact things. We just like to spotlight one player, bro.
At least willing to accept things and fix them. That doesn't seem like what Julius Randle is doing.
But check it out. R.J. Barrett shows you the personality that
Tony. He did it once.
But listen,
he did it once, and then immediately when he got paid and he got his contract, and he got his commercials, he's gone back to something.
Listen. So how do you know? So how do you know once R.J. Barrett gets paid, he won't do the same thing?
We don't, but at least we don't know that.
But listen,
but at least
you're showing. But check this out.
He's on a rookie contract. We at least got to give him the opportunity. We've given Randle a chance.
He's been here to say. He's been here to say.
Him a contract.
Okay, and he played 1 year under the contract. He hasn't played. He hasn't even played a year under the contract yet.
Oh, and he's been terrible under that contract.
He's not under the contract yet. The contract don't start till next year. The contract starts next year.
So do you think we could trade him?
They could trade him if they wanted to.
Okay, let's change that. You think we could trade him in decent value for what he was? No.
I do think so.
We're going to have to give up something. Who's willing to take on Julius Randle right now?
I do think so.
A contender?
I do think so.
A contender will take him. A contender will take him.
And what's the contender getting you? So you're not getting any picks back from him, no good picks.
But check this out. Let me go backwards for a second. Because, Hold on. Let me go backwards for a second. Hold up, Josh. I want to go backwards for a second. Okay. Right? Because, you say, R.J. Barrett shows, the ability to change when he makes this mistake or that mistake. But he continues to do that mistake over and over again because he's a young player that's growing and developing. But he continues to do it over and over again. Right? But you believe that he can make the change, right?
I believe he can not only make the change, but I think he does other things that are helpful when he's not doing great. He plays defense. When his shot isn't working, he plays defense. He does a lot of knuckleheaded things over and over, like challenging shot blockers down low and missing lit. He does that.
He does play defense, but he also lets guys go back door, even when he is playing good defense.
But you
Right? He makes what I'm saying is everybody focuses on one person when everybody else on the team is making the same mistakes. It's the fans focus on one person all the time. That's what they do. They focus on one guy.
When most of the fans are seeing it, and only
Julius
a few people aren't, maybe the fans are right.
When Julius Randle is gone. And
No, when
RJ's
you're
making
saying that they're focusing on the fact that he won't play defense.
Listen, when Julius Randle is gone, I guarantee you we're going to have the same argument, maybe not with you, but with somebody else about RJ Barrett.
We probably will.
I know
we probably
will.
But I don't think RJ Barrett, I can tell you this, I don't think RJ Barrett's going to have the same attitude that Julius Randle does.
He may not. And he probably won't. I hope that he doesn't.
Right.
But
that was my point in this whole thing is that the personality is the reason why we can't go forward with him. It's his personality.
What I'm saying is he showed that he can change himself once. You can't give him a chance to do it again? Because he's growing as a person and a player. He's growing as a person and a player. Okay. You give him that chance because in 2023, that's when the salary cap is done. That's the way that they had it structured. Right? In 2023, the Knicks owe right now $40 million guaranteed in 2023. So they have it set up so that in 2023, if they need to blow it up or do whatever they got to do, they have the ability to do so. So you see, can he switch it around? Maybe the front office won't. I don't know. But I think he's a player that deserves an opportunity to do so. Because he's proved that he can change.
I'll be happy to admit that I was wrong if he turns it around. I don't think he's turning it around, though. I don't think he will. I'm not sure that some people on the panel will ever admit that they were wrong about it. They're just going to say he had to go.
I will admit I was wrong about anything. All I'm saying is I'm giving him the opportunity.
I said some. I didn't say you, Sim. I think you mixed some with Sim up. I said some.
No. I'm just saying I'm giving him the opportunity to do so. Because you can always.
Last year, 2 years ago, I said that we should get rid of him, and I remember coming on and you saying stick with Randle, and we stuck with Randle, and I said to you, Sim called it. Good for him. He was right. I'll tell you when you're right. I say that. But he's gone back, and now to me, you can't keep ebbing and flowing this far. Dude, that's too far at extreme for you to keep going back and forth and be effective for the team. You got young kids on this team.
See, for me, I just look at it differently. I look at it and see the development of a player because everyone thinks that every single superstar is born overnight, and it's not that way. Because what happens is we don't see what other players are going through with their team day in and day out. Night in and night out, game after game after game. We see our players. But all of a sudden, we see a player that we look at and we're like, oh, snap. They're killing it over there. How come we can't get a guy like that? But we don't see the growth in the process of it. We just see the highlights and what's going on with that specific player. You know, we see the highlights for a couple of years.
Not about the highlights to me, man. It's about getting some kids out there that can play, that want to.
That's not what
getting some players on the floor that look like they want to play.
No, what I'm saying to you is that we see all these other players on other teams, right? Well, we don't recognize the growth that they had to go through. We don't see the pains because we don't see them every night. We see our players every single night, so we see all of the ups and downs. These other players have ups and downs too. They go through battles too. Everybody in them, not everybody, a lot of people said, oh, I'll take Jimmy Butler. Regardless of the past that he had with things going on, right? He had issues with coaches. He had issues with players. He had outbursts.
And he still has them, too. You saw what he did with Miami. He still got them.
And he still got them. But people would take them. But people would take them.
They would take him. Maybe somebody will take Randle. Maybe.
I'm talking about on this team. I'm talking about on the New York Knicks. People would take Butler. Right? Because the thing is, we don't see what players on other teams go through every single game and every single night and what's in the newspapers in their local towns and what they're going through. Right? All we see is the highlights that's on TV, but we don't see all that other stuff. And some of that is part of their growth as a player. And right now, I'm seeing it as part of his growth as a player. Now, where does he go with it? I don't know. Maybe he stands still and is just this player right here. But maybe he grows too.
The reason I don't like to have these conversations where we do comparisons because I don't think that these are fair comparisons. I can't compare Jimmy Butler to Julius Randle. Jimmy Butler's an all-around player. I'm sure everybody would want him on his team, even if he's yelling at them.
Yeah,
Julius Randle is a scoring machine.
You're bringing up the kind of player
if you give him the ball and move out of his way. That's it. That's it. I don't know if any team's going to want that, but maybe there is one.
Real, but Hey, this is Uncle Fulio, but you're the one bringing up his personality, not who he is as a player and what he does on the floor. You're the one bringing up the personality. So you're mixing up the two. First it was about the personality. Now you're saying you can't compare the two because Jimmy Butler does different things on the basketball floor. That doesn't make sense.
Well, no, that's not what I said. I said players wanting them on their team, even with the bad attitude. You can do that with the Jimmy Butler because Jimmy Butler will give you offense and defense and all those other intangibles that Julius Randle will not. That's all I'm saying.
I just don't agree with you, man. I just don't agree with you. Jimmy Butler had a fight with his coach the other day.
But again, that's what I was saying.
Had a fight. Jimmy Butler had a fight with his coach the other day, and no one's talking about that. But yet, if that was Julius Randle, all the Knicks fans...
Everyone's talking about that. It's everywhere.
Yeah,
everyone's talking about Jimmy Butler.
That was
In
Knicks
fact, when I
fans
thought
doing
about
it,
that, I
was
said, I'm
Knicks
glad
fans
he's not
doing
on
it.
this team.
The Heat fans aren't complaining.
But you know what? There are people that want him because he brings a lot of things that Julius Randle doesn't. That Julius Randle never brought.
Winning
His
changes
defense is
everything. Winning changes everything. That's it.
I get. Well, we did last year, and it changed. And what did he do? We gave him a contract, and look what he did. I'm pissed at Randle because Randle could have changed this at any point in time this year, and he chose not to.
Oh, listen, I don't blame you for being pissed at him. I don't blame you for being pissed at him. You know what I'm saying? And people,
because I think he chose to do this, Sam. I thought it feels to me like he chose to do this.
How can you know that? 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 I mean, how can you know that? Oh, yeah, I'm just going to choose that at the end of this game, I'm going to be mad at Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, that was unnecessary, man. Then listen, if you don't think that he could change that, and he has switches that need to be like, you can't have him on the team if he's going to do that.
I don't know.
Hey,
Rudy Gobert didn't do anything to him. Rudy Gobert didn't do a damn thing to him.
Hey, B-Baller, is everything that Randle doing, is that affecting RJ in his development?
I don't. Well, I think sometimes on the floor it might, but I don't think. I think by and large, RJ's going to do what RJ's going to do. Now I don't know where that'll lead him. Will he become the superstar like people think? I don't know. But I know that Randle is affected.
You keep saying that we can't have a guy on the team like that because he affects the kids. And the whole thing we've been hearing about the whole season, RJ Barrett can't play with Randle. RJ Barrett can't play with three. RJ Barrett can't do this.
You're fixated on Julius or RJ like I'm fixated on Randle.
Hold on.
We can't go back. I don't want to do that. All right, like when we talk about people going into their camps, that's where we are now. Where we're talking about Randle, and then I look. I've been known to do that too on the board. When you talk about RJ and then I bring up Randle, I get it. But
you the one that said he's affecting the development of the kids.
Randle is a real.
I didn't say that.
Okay, go ahead, B-Baller. Go ahead, B-Baller.
My point that's all I'm saying. I'm saying is when our fans see as a whole that Randle can call plays against what the coach wants, and we see it. There's no accountability for him, but there is for everybody else. When we watch all of this stuff play out, and then we start complaining about it, I think it's a little unfair for us to go, well, that's Twitter, that's the narrative. No, that's what we see.
Okay.
And we were right.
What? This is going to be an interesting thing to watch this summer, man. B-Baller, I got to get you. When we do Keep 'em or Dump 'em, I need to get B-Baller for real on the panel.
Salute, B-Baller, man. Salute. It's always fun, man. Always fun.
Hey, B-Baller, I appreciate you, man.
Always, hey, listen, fellas, I appreciate. Listen, I make jokes out on the board. I'm not really mad at any of you guys. I just do that because I think as Knicks fans, we have people that love the team, but we definitely have people. We're a passionate fan base. I'm one of the passionate people. I'm 47 years old. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen the championship in my life. I get passionate about it. Sometimes I just want to represent the other side. So that's all I'm doing now.
I feel you, man. Hey, no love lost here, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
I love all you guys, man.
Appreciate you, my brother.
Respect to everybody.
No doubt.
We'll get at you.
Put them thumbs up in the chat too.
Yeah, let's do that. Yes, appreciate you, man.
Salute.
Yes, sir. Enjoy, fellas.
Salute for sure.
I'm gonna tell you what. When we do that, when we do that, Keep 'em or Dump 'em, those episodes at the end of the season, they gonna be crazy. I can already tell you they're gonna be something.
You're gonna have to do one for each player, son.
I know, like individually. Yep. Last year we did a couple of them together. This year they're gonna have to be. And when we do Julius Randle, I better block out about 4 hours of time.
Or make a part one and a part two.
One and part two, because that joint's gonna go nuts. I'm trying to tell you, that's gonna be crazy. Julius Randle, Evan Fournier is gonna be like that. I mean, I don't think RJ Barrett's gonna. RJ Barrett should be. Everyone, 90% 98% of the people should be saying keep R.J. Barrett, right?
Taj Gibson's going to be interesting.
You know what I'm saying? That's going to be an interesting one. IQ, that's going to be, it's going to be something, man. Ladies and gentlemen, this was a fun, it was a fun show. Twice in a row, this offseason, the entire offseason, this is going to be crazy. You already know. When we do these shows, it's going to be crazy. The entire offseason. People going to be bugging out. King Ebert said it, and I thought I hated Randle. Never mind.
Start feeling bad for the guy, huh?
Look, A-Train said that was some verbal sparring. Yeah, it was. We was going at it. That's what makes it fun, though, man. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm going to call it night. It's 1:30.
Yeah.
Call it the morning. It's 1:30 in the morning. We've been on for almost 3 hours. It's, these last few, Tony's been like the old days.
Yeah.
It's been like the old days, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey,
like
guess
that.
what? We haven't beat the Heat in their arena since the old days. So it's only appropriate that the episode is like the old days because
did we win tonight? I mean, we did win.
We did win.
We did win.
I knew it.
That's what I'm saying.
Listen, I ain't even gonna front, son. You know, it's MBK for life. I am so interested to watch all these other Nick content creators because it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
Oh, man.
I gotta hear what everybody's saying tonight, man. Because I know it's gonna be Tibbs should have been doing this.
Look, man,
blah,
I
blah,
seen it
blah.
all.
Yeah. Look, we can win without Randle. I think this is our first win without Randle, right?
No, we just beat Charlotte. We beat Charlotte.
All right, 2 in a row.
Charlotte.
But these are our first two.
And if he doesn't play against Detroit, we should have a good chance of beating Detroit.
Oh boy.
And listen, the Knicks blew their chance. They had a chance to get into that play-in. They blew it when they lost to Utah. Then they lost to Atlanta. Those two losses right there really hurt. That really hurt.
Oh yeah.
But so right now they just trying to. I just want them to win as many games as possible down the stretch. And keep trying to develop and get better, and come back stronger next season. That's all you can do.
I ain't
right
gonna
now.
lie. I hope these young guys, these rookies, everybody plays. I hope Randle does rest, and I hope we win them and we win out. Just because I love this energy, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. Even though I don't agree with everybody, I love the energy. And
that's what it is.
It's gonna get
man.
some great content.
Yeah, so let's get some last words, man. I'll start with Savvy, come back up around to Tony, and we'll get up out of here for the night. Savvy, some last words, man.
NYK all day, NBK for life. I had some kids out there sitting in the rows behind me, some young lads who, thought it was funny when we were down most of the game, and they would yell out, Trae Young owns you whenever RJ was about to shoot a free throw, and then RJ shot 2 clutch free throws down the stretch, and one of them started to say it, and then he didn't. And I was like, this is the result of things building up over time. It's a beautiful thing when it comes together. I don't want people to look at this and be like, this is what happens when you do this. No, they've been working on this. It's not by accident. Guys, stay nimble. Winning is everything. Tanking is for losers because losers aren't trying to win. They want to lose. We won tonight. I hope we keep on winning. The energy between the young guys is beautiful. And don't fret, our players work on things and then they come together and we're going to be all right.
All right. Uncle Fulio?
The future is bright. The future is bright. That's all I got to say.
All right. Hey, Tony.
Stole my thunder, man. Yo, what Josh said, your black is tired.
Yeah, no doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, we love it, man. Real good show. BBaller for real. Thank you for calling up. Everybody who called up, thank you for calling up. Those are the super chats. Thank you for the super chats. Everyone in the chat, appreciate you. Thank you for being here. It's 1:30 in the morning. You guys are rocking with us. I mean, it's the Knicks. What you gonna do? We had some good conversations here tonight. We appreciate you all. Be peaceful and enjoy your weekend. And I'll see you. Oh, actually, before I forget, on Sunday, I'll be doing another, because the game is at 5 o'clock on Sunday. So I'll be doing another watch along. If you're a member, I'll put the link in the community section so you can get the link to the watch along. The watch along will start at 5 o'clock. That's what time the Knicks play the Pistons on Sunday, 5 o'clock. All right, so, just stay up on that, ladies and gentlemen. And, yeah, that's what's up. So I will talk to you later. Maybe, be able to do something tomorrow. I don't know. Make sure you check out Steph is going to drop a video tomorrow, so make sure you check it out. Dope Soul Sports Talk. If you're not subscribed to it, look it up on YouTube. Subscribe to it. Actually, there's going to be a link right here in the description so you can subscribe to the channel. Get her take on tonight's game or last night's game. All right, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate you. I'm out of here. Peace.
This is NBK. Nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.